I hope everybody's having a lovely day today. I'm having a nice morning. I actually slept last night, so that was good. So, we finished Time Killing Time yesterday, and now we're jumping into a familiar siren, which is a mini 2, so I think it's literally just like a short scene, and that's basically it. But yeah, we're gonna do this short scene, and then we'll jump into the new event. Right, I think we can conclude our consultation session here. I've been holding regular consultations with the sinners for a while now. My session with Heathcliff ended earlier than I'd expected. So, what are you writing in that notebook?
Or this? I thought writing them down could come in handy later, in case I have to remember something.
Heathcliff's been holding that notebook in his hands ever since the session started. It didn't seem like he was making a full record of our entire conversation. It was more like he was writing things down if they seemed worthy of remembering. Are you writing about Catherine?
Ought to know if that's part of it.
His expression becomes inscrutably complex upon hearing her name. He breathes in a lung full of air and lets out a deep sigh. He smiles awkwardly before sliding his notebook across the desk in my direction. I take a quick glance at the pages. Its contents are as disorganized and chaotic as his handwriting, but I also notice that several of those disorganized notes are records of his memories with Catherine, scribbled next to notes of significant moments in our journey, records of memories he doesn't want to lose.
Well, it ain't nothing important. Right, if we're done here, I'm off.
Heathcliff takes the notebook and leaves the room. I catch a glimpse of his bitter expression as he steps through the doorway. It isn't long before Rhodia practically bursts through the door. Hey, saw Heathcliff leaving the room just now and thought it was my turn. That was pretty quick meeting, huh? Yeah, we didn't really talk about much. I don't know what's gotten into him lately. He's been so tame? Well, I'm not complaining. Why don't you take a seat, Rhodia? Rhodia hummed cheerfully as she sat down. She really didn't seem too different from her usual self. Our consultations usually consisted of some minor chit-chat and watching her munch on some snacks. But, hey, so, I think there's something we have to talk about today. Yeah? Oh, you're so serious today. What's up? Do you remember what you asked me when we were dealing with the case of Time Killing Time, Rhodia? I don't know. What did I say? A lot. Rhodia carefully looks away, her fingers fiddling with the snacks prepared for these consultations. I'm starting to grow uncertain whether this is a good time to bring this up when she's still so obviously evasive about it. I really don't want the mood to get as frosty as it did during the investigation, but this overly chipper, chatty attitude is just a bandage haphazardly pulled over a scar that still hurts, isn't it? I sit there looking at Rhodia and her fabricated smile. I have to ask. Yeah, this is exactly what these consultations are for. What better time to do this than now? I'm talking about the time you asked me about Sonia. About what would have happened if you... The alarm had to choose this precise moment when I finally gathered enough courage to bring this up to go off. Wait, that was... I reflexively get to my feet at the blaring alarm. A few seconds later, I heard someone tapping on the bus PA system. And not long after that, a brief bzzz plays from the speaker installed in my room. Testing. Announcing from the driver's seat. All units taking R&R on the bus must assemble in the hallway ASAP. I repeat, all units taking R&R on the bus. Driver's seat. Charon's seat. Ugh, stop pulling me. I'm in the process of relaying a very important announcement. Stop getting in the way between Charon and Mephi. Virgilia's deep sigh was the last thing we heard from the bus's PA system before Charon and Otis' brief squabble came to an abrupt end. My, a new backdoors thingy? That's what the alarm usually means, right? Hey Greed, thanks for the hydrate. I hope you're having a lovely day today, boo-boos. Let's see. I'm gonna guess that this one's for the Refraction Railway. Blah, not a fan of those railways. They're so exhausting. Rhodia grumbles for a moment before rising from her seat. Kinda seems like she's trying to smoothly maneuver away from answering my question. What you standing around for, Dante? Come on. Ain't you gonna see what's going on? Yeah, I'm coming. I leave my empty consultation notes behind and follow Rhodia out the hallway. Out a very crowded hallway. The murmur rises and rises. The sinners were each sharing their ideas as to what this alarm might be for. It's gotta be for the Refraction Railway this time, right? Yep, line 4 most likely. Huh. This is gonna suck, isn't it? Attention! The executive manager has arrived. Ahem. I have assembled your forces already in a timely manner. Thanks. Welcome, Dante. I heard the radio. Is the Refraction Railway this time? Yes, the 4th line of the Refraction Railway to be exact. Hey, I think they're getting used to this. WTHAWGI. Whoa, 'tis a hawkening it. When the hell? It appears that she is requesting information pertinent to our schedule regarding our entry to the railway. To be exact, I think she's asking, when the hell are we going in? Ryoshu, who had been listening with a knitted brow as each sinner hazarded their guesses, appeared to have finally found peace. Sinclair was right on the money. Hey, at least Gregor and Yi-san got half of that right too. The bus's alarms weren't the only things growing increasingly familiar to us. The sinners were really getting to know one another as well. Meh. I'm sorry to hear that things are meh, although it sounds like that's a pretty bog standard day. Are you still at your brother's? Well, let's go check it out right now. Then I shall open the gates. The door opens with a creak and a bright blue light fills my vision. The blue ambiance almost seems to drop the temperature of the entire room. Another railway line, completely different from line 3 and its orange hue. Manager Esquire, behold! These curtains, these masks, I say, visions of party lay before us. Oh, you've been home for a week? I see. Forsooth. Masks. I followed down Kyoto, who had run off her own again, with my eyes. It was as she said, the walls were lined with various masks, each wearing different expressions. AC's broken? Oh man, that is rough. What's the temperature like in what's the temperature like in, what is it, North Carolina or South Carolina? I get the Carolinas mixed. They should just reunify, and we should just make Puerto Rico take the place of one of the Carolinas. Just make you guys a single state. I always get confused. I wonder if this has something to do with the theme of enemies we're about to meet there. Oh, hie thee hither, one and all. Here is a woman, her appearance a spitting image of Lady Otis. 82? Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's the early evening, right? So 8 p.m. So I imagine it's probably cooled down a little bit. What? There was urgency in her voice. I quickly ran to where Don Quixote was with the other sinners in tow, and there she was, an exact copy of Otis standing before us. I hope this isn't anything serious. Whoa, she wasn't kidding. I hope this isn't a lure left behind by an abnormality or something like that.
Oi, how about we don't tempt fate, lad?
Ah, I see. No circulation, so it's super humid. That is the fucking worst. You have any fans? But she's quiet, unlike Otis, and shrouded in a weird shadow. Whoa, look. Here's one that looks just like me. Honglu stood next to a humanoid shape that mimicked every move he made. When he raised his hands, the shape raised its hands. When he closed his eyes, the shape closed its eyes. Right, almost like the shadow. Like a shadow with the darkness and its mimicry. Just a standing one pointing at you. Just right in the face. Well, I hope things cool off there soon. It's been quite cool this morning. It's 24 in the 70s. I think I'm bad with the conversion. I know what 24 feels like. Yeah, 76 right now. But that's in Fuji. I'm not sure what what it is actually in where the direct area where I am. It's quite a bit cooler here. So I would say it's probably like 72 here. So it's quite cool here right now. But it's because it was raining like all day yesterday and this morning. Wait, that looks like one of Honglu's identities. I noticed 2, 3 more humanoid shadows standing nearby. What on earth is going on? Would be much better off if they were some byproduct of an abnormality. However, if they are clones, we must move swiftly to exterminate them. Executive Manager, I request that you immediately order us to prepare for battle. Give me a sec, I'll ask Faust if first if... No, you must make a judgment call at this instant. If they are indeed clones, then the head will... This isn't the first time she's asked to make... She's asked to make decisions like this, but... She's never been this serious or adamant about it before. Yi-Sang noticed the tension and quickly stepped in between the two of us. Miss Faust, would you kindly share what you know of this phenomenon? Yes, this entity is not a clone. Therefore, even if a week were to pass, the head will not mobilize. Faust nodded sagely as though she had just learned something new before looking in my direction. Right, she probably wants me to explain what this is. I quickly blurted out that the first thing that came to my mind. That one feels like a Pekatulum. I wasn't completely sure, but that's the feeling I've grown so used to sensing whenever we encounter Pekatula. Pekatulum. It's blindly mimicking whatever Honglu is doing. I'm not sure if it has much or anything in the way of consciousness or ego. It doesn't look like a one-to-one copy of him either. Please becalm yourself, Miss Otis. It appears that aught has unnerved you. Otis bows, embarrassment apparent upon her head, cleared with relief. My deepest apologies, Executive Manager. I should not have acted in such an unsightly manner before you. Clearly, I still have a lot to learn about the sinners. Every instance of these moments seems to unveil something new. I was trying to get a better read on Otis's expression when Heathcliff suddenly asked a question out loud.
I thought them Pekatula are supposed to look like monsters, innit?
Distortions of the Pekatula must not be judged on a reference based on common sets, such as their physical appearance. But, do you think we can handle them? Oh yeah, if they're going to swarm us like they did at the manor, or if they manage to somehow copy Virgilius, that's going to be a problem. Recall the railways of refraction we have suffered ere this one's arrival. It should not present before us a foe we cannot defeat, yet the process shall be as grueling as it has always been, I suspect. Faust is aware that this entity is a Pekatulum of envy, Pekatulum invidiae. Considering the strengths of the Pekatulum we have faced thus far, it is unlikely that we will encounter enemies too far beyond our ability to defeat. The lack of precise, tiered labeling system means that it is difficult for one to make a subjective judgment. Speaking of which, what's the ETA on the new risk levels and classifications for the Pekatulan distortions? The LCD has informed us that they have made significant progress regarding that project. It is likely that further details will be shared once they become more concrete. Ah, that's good to know. Oops, looks like the Pekatula are running away all of a sudden. As we stood there, talking to one another, a Pekatulum that resembles Honglu suddenly shoved him to the side and began sprinting elsewhere.
What the hell, mate? Don't just sit there and gonk at them. When are they all... Don't just sit there and gonk at them when they're all legging it.
Heathcliff also sprinted after the figure, but he soon came to a sudden stop before starting to slowly back away.
Oh, blimey.
A subway train slides into the platform with a loud horn. Past the windows, I see a subway car filled to the brim with purple shadows. Shadows in the shape of the sinners. Huh, that's a lot of them. I think I recognized like 3 shadows that looked just like me. That's ridiculous sight was enough to stop us all dead in our tracks, allowing the Pekatulum to board the subway car, and the door shut behind them. I sense aught in the way of disquietude from this refraction railway. Fellas, there's another one coming this way. As soon as the subway train carrying the Pekatula leaves the station, a new one begins to roll in. To my relief, this one doesn't look like it's packed to the brim with shadow people. But what's that? What is that? There are curtains and masks? I don't remember seeing anything like that on the last railways we challenged. How uninspired. Hey, I didn't notice it either, cause all that mess with clones and everything, but doesn't that train look much more elaborate than what we've seen before? Right, it's adorned with all kinds of decorations. Just as the sinners were gawking at the ostentatiousness that was this train, something burst forth from the train car door. Did that thing just roll out a carpet for us? It's like something's inviting us in there. I ill lack such manner of invitation. I agreed with Yi, saying this is an invitation I'm happy to jump at, but I'm sure we'll face even worse things in our journey. I'll take every chance we can to strengthen the sinners. Let's go. I took my first steps into the carpet and boarded the subway train. All right. I think that's it, right? It's just like a mini. I don't even think we have to do a fight. It's the introduction to the Refraction Railway, which we are literally not allowed to do. Perfect. Like, it's here, the button's here, but we can't do them. We have to clear Canto 9 first. Okay, so now we get to do the title card, Murder on the Warp Express. Alright, how did this happen? First, we boarded the warp train to get to our next destination, P-Corp. Got into our fancy first-class flash-freeze hibernation capsules, and we were supposed to arrive at P-Corp after a quick blink of an eye, but... Date, please respond. There's... The first thing I saw when my vision returned was the perplexed look on Faust, who had entered hibernation at the same time as I did. Then I realized that we woke up mid-transit on the warp train, which could only mean that we're now stranded in some lost, unknown dimension. Date, I understand your considerable degree of disorientation, but what the hell happened? First things first, let's rewind and return to the very start of this highly unfavorable situation we find ourselves in. A few days ago. Our next destination is to a warp train, Dante. What? Yep, that's where it all started. There I was, still perplexed by the incidents at T-Corp, when my awful idea of clearing the air by asking Virgilius for our next destination, not knowing the storm that my innocent question would bring. 77%! Yikes! 77% and 82 degrees? What is that with the in the wet bulb range? My brain is still not in a good way at calculating the wet bulb temperature, but I do know that 80 is pushing safe levels. So don't strain yourself. Take it easy and get as much rest as you can. Verily, I must have misheard. I'm quite certain you didn't, Don Quixote. We are now en route to the T-Corp warp train stations. That warp train station must have some conundrum that must be resolved there, indeed. A quest that must be swiftly addressed at the station, yes? Did a distortion pop up at one of the warp platforms or something? I see that you're now significantly less disinclined to take on some side jobs, but no. We are boarding the warp train to get to P-Corp. End of story. There's nothing between the lines, so don't try reading into it. It was only natural that the sinners immediately fell into a state of collected, dumbfounded shock. None of the sinners have any history of working at W-Corp, but we're actually taking that train? Through what vague information we could gather from the identities, we all had some fragmentary knowledge about the terrible secrets of the warp train operations. I initially considered hiding this information from the rest of the sinners, but since sharing things with everyone and letting them get their 2 cents in usually ended up being pretty helpful, I've been sharing more of these as of late. Though I have very dim, if present at all, recollections from the time during which I wear the identities, it can be determined from the conservational records between the manager and the identities that the mechanisms behind Warp Train's operations can be deemed as somewhat bizarre and inefficient. Oh, yeah, it's that 10-second trip that actually takes a long time, right? And when the train reaches the destination, they just wipe the passengers' memories. I also heard that the passengers get so weary of boredom that they start literally ripping and tearing into one another. Sounds like I might finally have a chance to see a masterpiece with my own eyes. Even when the sinners wear the identities through my identity cards, the identities' memories, or beliefs, don't bleed into them once it's over and done with. Dante mentioned the ID stories about W-Corp, but neglects to mention Ryoshu was having the time of her life as a W-Corp agent in the Mirror Worlds. That actually tracks. That makes a lot of sense. I remember when Faust explained that. Due to the risks associated with embracing such influences, there was a filtering process to intentionally block them from reaching the sinners. That's why the sinners could use the identities of some of our worst enemies without getting infected by their philosophies and whatnot. But it also meant that they couldn't retain any new information that each identity had to offer. That's why I keep a record of some things that sounded particularly important, and sometimes share it with the rest of the sinners. It's funny as fuck because she's annoyed doing desk work and wants to go back to cleaning up trains. My voice doesn't really carry well past the window, so most of our communications are one-sided, but I had an abundance of W Corp identities, so it wasn't difficult to piece together the truth behind the trains. But, maybe ignorance really is bliss? Your collective agitation and possible incompliance have already been anticipated.
Lady Faust, then thou hast known this all along? Wherefore hast thou not deigned to tell me of this?
Faust has indeed known this all along, as no knowledge is out of Faust's reach. Naturally, a solution to your dilemma has already been prepared. God damn. My throat is shot today. I'm actually having kind of a rough time of it. I can hear it because I have auditory feedback in my microphone. So I hear myself when I speak. I know what I sound like. And it's rough whenever I hear the voices coming out, not the way that I'm used to them coming out. I seriously doubt your solution involves not getting on the train. So what is it? The bus. Oh, what about this bus? There's no way this thing fits inside a train car. Charon vetoes too. No one feed Mephi when Charon's gone. Miss Faust. The rearmost tail cars of warp trains are all freight cars. That is where Mephistopheles will be safely fastened and transported. And the LCB will have the benefit of boarding as first-class passengers. The bus begins to swell with noise again, though in a slightly different air to the alarmed response from earlier.
First-class passengers? What? The seats for those pompous toffs? Even on normal trains, you've got those sods whose proudest accomplishment in life is planting their arses in first-class seats, while others are cramming themselves into freight cars because they haven't the cash for even an economy ticket.
Well, why are you glaring at me like that? I've never been in one of those first-class seats before either. Isn't the ticket for a single first-class seat like as expensive as 3 or 4 months' salary of a first-year wing employee? Can our budget really handle getting a ticket for us each? The company's budget is not a subject that warrants your concern. I heard first-class passengers get some cool bonus stuff like personalized private capsules or something, don't they? That is the promotional language, yes. They are flash freeze hibernation capsules to be precise. They've been designed to easily withstand the true amount of time it takes for the warp train to travel from point A to point B. Passengers will feel as though the trip is over in the blink of an eye. We got LobCorp levels of money, wicked. I mean, I'm suspicious of Limbus Company because of when it popped up, how it's essentially a limitless money device, and how we don't know what happened to Angela or Roland, but they are sitting on essentially limitless knowledge, limitless collective knowledge sitting in the library, which is outside of the government. I don't know. They've got like basically magic tier technology, and I'm very interested to know like if there's any connection between the library, which is directly like you could call the library a descendant, like the direct descendant of Lobotomy Corporation, and how we are going around collecting these golden bows. I'm very interested to see where the story goes in the future. You can name a single time money has been related to evil in human history. Never. You can't do it. You can't do it. The company's regard for our well-being is unfamiliar, yet welcome. To be provided with such extravagance merely for our comfort, such occurrence is quite seldom. Right? I honestly thought they were going to slip just the guide and Charon into first-class seats and ship the rest of us in economy cars. This seems like an unnecessary luxury. They should have saved their budget and given only executive manager and their loyal advisors loyal advisor access to those seats. Literally, Otis is just like, it should have just been me and the manager. All the rest of you guys should spend an eternity in hell. What an asshole. Who's gonna yell at this guy for me? I can do it. For money. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're taking the train to get to our next mission. Alright, we have to think about the unique nature of warp trains and prepare ourselves accordingly. Right? I know it's first class and all, but warp trains are just plain creepy. I knew you'd also be worried about, for example, economy passengers are going to have a hard time getting into a first class car, if they can even attempt to open it. I mean, I'm pretty sure the door separating the cars is ironclad. Ishmael, who'd been holding that first class promotional pamphlet in her hands for a while, was chattering on with fire in her eyes. We won't even have to lift a finger. We'll just have to board the train, get into our capsules, shut our eyes, and snooze the entire ride until all that mess in the other cars blows over. I heard they used to give out commemorative merch back when their finances weren't in the gutter, and oh. A true adventure is not without its hardships, yet even the most exalted of heroes cannot venture without respite, and, in very rare occasions, the hero may even deign to select a first-class seat to rest in place of a quaint inn. Indeed, indeed. Seems like everyone was at least somewhat interested in the fabled first-class seats of warp trains. I could sense that there was a growing consensus among the sinners that even a warp train trip might be acceptable if it meant that they could ride in the first-class seats. I will board the train if I must. Is first-class seating mandatory? I prefer the scenic route. Don't want to miss out on all the fun. Virgilius pretended not to hear Diosha's question. Very well, then I assume that we are all in agreement. Let's go. I have a matter of great import to discuss with thee.
What is it? Out with it, lass. Beating around the bush ain't like you.
Don Quixote carefully began, almost whispering in a low voice. That is, in the first-class seats. I have heard tell that we must board with our feet freed from our boots. Doth that claim hold water? Oh, come on now, where did that nonsense gossip come out from this time? 'Tis no gossip, forsooth. I have overheard aught from those we have walked past ere today, and when one of them inquired, you know what you gotta do barefoot in first class, right? The other responded, of course, man. What am I, stupid? Doth the traveler speak true, Ishmael? Don't ask me. I've never been on one of those either. I don't remember seeing anything like that on the pamphlet. Give me a sec. I mustn't be separated from Rocinante, not even for a twinkle. I shan't toss Rocinante to the side, next to such vulgarities like the ugly shoes of Sir Heathcliff.
Or you little...
I implore thee, O illustrious red gaze, prithee grant me thy permission and allow me to board with Rocinante. I expected Virgilius to answer with his usual exasperated rebuff. Contrary to my expectations, however, he responded in a somewhat serious tone, if tainted by that familiar annoyance. Fine, keep your shoes on. This place is huge. That was my first impression of the warp train station. Oh, so this is... Don Quixote shouted vibrantly, immediately recovered from a previous apprehension of the sheer possibility that she might be separated from Rocinante. So each nest has one of these massive structures in them?
I've got nothing. Oi, know anything about what we're asking?
Heathcliff asked, gesturing towards Merceau with his chin. Every warp train station has been built with a general design philosophy that draws from its respective nest's architectural idiosyncrasies. It can also be said that many critics in relevant fields praise the warp train stations as one of the many cultural cornerstones of the city. I have no idea when it happened, but Heathcliff started treating Merceau like a walking encyclopedia from time to time. Merceau! Young Merceau! Lo, is that passenger over yonder one from the west? Incorrect. Leather-based clothing and metal armor are predominant fashion trends, often visible in the outfits of Western population, while that individual's cloth-based style is something ubiquitously observed throughout the population of North and South. They are largely considered to be an Eastern fashion trend, rarely seen among Western. Prithee, slow thyself, for I must make a record of thy lecture. What wisdom dost thou have to impart regarding the fashion of the northern region? I have once espied in a magazine that they are garbed in puffy, loose-fitting outfits, understandably so given the colder climate of the region. An opportunity for a first-hand observation stands before you. 3 seconds of the screaming duet. One of utter fascination, the other of unmitigated frustration. What the shit? You nearly blew out my eardrums.
You're the one to talk.
Dude, I've got an audible frequency range expansion implant in my eardrums. Holy shit, man. Now, get the hell out of my way. You're blocking the walkway like a ragtag band of hicks who've never seen a warp train before. I mean, that's true. Damn it, I take the train all the way here for an expedition only to lose my target, and now these assholes are trying to blow out my eardrums. Great, just great. I love this. Guys, is it that obvious that we've never been on a warp train before? And the round-trip ticket fee came straight out of my damn pocket. Whoa, watch out, big fella. Someone might get seriously hurt if you keep swinging those 4 arms around, each holding a weapon, to boot. Prithee, wilt thou stand still for but a moment to satisfy a few inquiries of mine regarding thy outfit? Oh, yes, stand in absolute stillness for 5 minutes and I... Seriously? The fixer with a particularly impressive set of prosthetic arms spent a few minutes venting several of his numerous grievances at us before storming off to a different platform. Ah, indeed, 'tis grand, the city of sundry odd personalities. I'm pretty sure he was thinking the same thing. I guess there's really a lot of people in the city with a full-body prosthetics. That's when Virgilia slowly walked up to the group. Well then, we'll rendezvous at the destination. Huh? Wilt the illustrious Red Gaze not ride alongside us? W Corp policy demands that fixtures bestowed with a color title must board a train specifically prepared for them instead. Oh, are you like riding the first class plus or something? That's a color fixer for you, I guess. Special treatment from the wings, no matter where he goes. Charon wants to go back to Mephi. Mephi'll be lonely. I've told you before, Charon, 3 separate times actually. Each time, I bought you one of those candies that people aren't allowed aboard freight cars. Well then, Miss Faust. Yes. Virgilius, after exchanging a knowing look and a nod with Faust, escorted the particularly peeved Charon away. Dante, let us proceed this way. We followed Faust's guidance to the entrance of our train car. Damn. Whoa, hey, our colors are starting to come back. Oh. Hey, these must be the fabled complimentary food and drinks of the first class seats. Heck yeah. Of course, quality stuff like these gotta be included in the insane pricing. The general response to this room was a surprise at the rows upon rows of expensive-looking sizable capsules. Flash freeze hibernation, huh? I guess it literally freezes our bodies in a flash? Faust, are these flash freeze hibernation devices safe? Please elaborate on your exact definition of safe. These things are supposed to freeze us solid, right? Can we really come back from something like that? A flash freeze hibernation device will put you in a temporary state of death caused by rapid cellular cryopreservation process. However, the rapidity of the process prevents damage to your cells during the phase change. Therefore, in most normal cases, this will not cause any issues. Faust is aware that this model has fully resolved cell membrane breaching issues caused by cryogenic density change or by the formulation of sharp ice crystals from frozen water molecules. I missed about half of what you said, but your point is that it's safe, right? Yes, as far as Faust is aware, even if an issue were to arise during the journey, everyone will be reverted to their original state at the start of the train trip upon arrival. The outcome will be no different from before, from there having been no issue in the first place.
You've got some real talent in dragging out something so simple as, yeah, it's safe, to so many words. Seriously.
Indeed, as Faust's talent are not limited to a singular field. Okay, but that still leaves a lot to be worried about. Just as I was wondering, however, I realized that there was something odd about the way she phrased that answer. As far as Faust is aware, are you saying that it could be wrong? As a general rule, Faust does not However, Faust is also not a divine being. There still exists in the world information to which Faust has yet to access. Therefore, while Faust may speak the facts, what is said may not always align with the truth. Okay. They don't call first class for nothing, I guess. P-Corp's way up there in the northernmost corner of the city, but this thing will take us there in the blink of an eye, huh? That's one hell of a time saver. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha! Prepare thyself, Rocinante. Thus begins the long jaunt. Oh, I've been meaning to ask Don Quixote. Do you ever, wash those shoes? Where did that come from, Rhodia? No, I mean, like, think back to where we were inside that whale. When that whale blew up, we've got all kinds of gross, slimy bits on us. They were on our clothes, our shoes, everything. Yeah. And do you remember how much we had to scrub to get that bloody, fishy, fleshy gunk out of our clothes? This really isn't something I want to revisit, but yeah. Right? And do you also remember how Don Quixote never took her shoes off once during that whole ordeal? Okay, I guess they do look a bit filthy. I ask thee, dear compatriots, hast thou ever witnessed an errant knight who leaves the side of their beloved steed? You got stinky ass feet, Don. Probably. Yeah, probably. Can't say I've ever witnessed a knight before, though. Then thou shalt know, starting now, behold it, hearken to it, and remember it well. They don't spare us even a moment of quiet, do they? Wowzer, have you been one of the? Have you been on one of those before, Otis? I have been treated to premium VIP seats of similar grandiosity back when. This is nothing to fuss over. Otis, who was sitting where? Otis was sitting there. God damn it. Misspoke. I'm over. Somebody kill me. Put me down. Put me out of my misery. Otis, who was sitting there and shaking her legs, suddenly asked Faust a question. Hey, you're confident that no accidents ever occurred on one of these first-class cars, yes? In order to prevent cases of unnecessary anxiety, a misgivings among the sinners, the history of accidents that has occurred aboard warp trades will not be shared. Wait, what do you mean? Beep. Oh, looks like the train's about to depart. This is for warp train PW612 bound for P-Corp. Boarding period is ending soon. The sinners who were either leisurely enjoying their complimentary snacks or taking a look around the first-class car suddenly became a lot busier. Then let us hurry and enter our capsules before it's too late. Oh, why isn't this... The other sinners made it into their capsules with no problem, but I felt like I was the only one who was fumbling. Are you nervous, Dante? I think so. Initiating warp train in 10 minutes. Allow me to assist you. Stand as though you're leaning back, and... Faust expertly guided me into the capsule as though she's done something like this before, then pressed the button inside the capsule that closed the hatch. We don't talk about Lovetown. You can't talk about Lovetown. It would be a travesty. Olga survived. Everything's fine, right? Don't worry too much. Conceptually, this technology is super, super cool. We will meet again, but in a moment, Dante. I thought I heard a brief sigh, but the hatch shut tightly before I could ask anything. Initiating warp. Please confirm that your seatbelts are firmly fastened. The last thing I saw before my capsule began to fill with gas was Faust climbing into her own capsule opposite of mine. Little did I know back then what she really meant by "we will meet again, but in a moment." We will meet again in but a moment. Dante, you best wake up. Dante. But one thing I knew for sure was an unexpected situation has occurred. That something had seriously, seriously gone wrong. Of course it did. Disappearing passengers. We're here already? Wow. I guess that wasn't an exaggeration at all. It all really happened in the blink of an eye. As always, Faust was giving me her usual look. Oh, hello. How are you doing today? Which was a complete lack of any emotive expression, which I suppose is why I didn't... My god, fucking damn it. I suppose is why it didn't immediately register that something had gone awry. No, we have not yet arrived at our destination. Huh? But once I finally came to and had some time to digest that odd reply, I looked up at her face once again, and realized that her expression was more antsy than usual by a microscopically minuscule degree. So this train is still running? Yes. Then where are we? I believe we're currently stranded in an unidentified dimension, coordinates unknown. I took a reflexive, deep breath from the sheer horror of the numerous implications stuffed into that dryly delivered sentence. When that passed, the first thing that struck my mind was that we were about to suffer the very thing that we were so worried about. I see. But I soon found myself calming down. Yeah, this had to be part of Faust's plan. She probably saw this coming from a mile away. I'm sure she's about to proudly tell me every little detail of her plan that will help us out of this situation. But this is all just part of the plan, right, Faust? That was an unusually long silence from Faust. You are half correct, yet half incorrect. With that, Faust left me to flounder in the chaotic stream of vaguely terrifying information as she began stopping by each capsule to wake the sinners.
벌써 도착한 거야? 야, 진짜 눈 감았다 같으면.
Oh, we're here already? Man, it really happened in the blink of a... No. Ugh, what's this? We're here already? For real? It really happened in the blink of a... No. Whoa, we're here already? I guess I was really worrying over... No. Oh, no. I have not uttered a single word yet. There was a brief cheer, a little hurrah about regaining our colors, followed by a flat-toned explanation of our current predicament, which was then followed by a long, loaded silence, which was a sequence of events I had the pleasure of watching play out on about 10 consecutive occasions. Dante, I understand your confusion. However, perhaps an elaboration of our present circumstance is necessary. And that brings us to the present. Let me get this right. This train's still running.
And we're drifting through some unknown dimension.
Oh, aught about that striketh me as quite dramatic. Most importantly, are you saying that you already knew that this would happen, Faust?
Yes.
What? What the hell is wrong with you, huh? The sinners each begin to voice their anger. Of course, this wasn't the first time Faust and Virgilius intentionally and knowingly omitted certain details about what was to come. Are you actually serious? It's not like we can just retreat or jump out that door when stuff hits the fan. Opening the door will result in near immediate destruction of the physical body. Hey, at least tell us you know what to do like you always do. You've got a plan, right? Right? Faust, whom I had rarely seen at a loss for words, was unusually slow to respond.
What's up with her? Lass looks totally out of it today.
She gives me a sideways glance. There must be something she can't discuss in front of the sinners. Guys, let's pause for a bit. She said that something unexpected's happened. The other sinners' anger was completely understandable. It also makes sense that this continued lack of communication was harming our trust in Faust. Alright, we're going to go over the situation from the start, okay? But just letting things play out might really turn everyone against Faust, and for good. Besides, I doubt Faust woke us up in the middle of the trip just to spite us. First things first, I gotta get the sinners to calm down. Then I'll ask Faust to tell us what happened. If there's a problem, we'll figure it out and deal with it as we move along. Tell us what's going on, Faust. All of it. And in a way that we can all understand. Let's hear her out first. Is that okay with you guys? If you say so, I'll go along with it.
Fine. I suppose losing my rag rarely ever did anything.
Thank you. Then. After some time, the gist of Faust's explanation was as follows. The cause of this issue, as always, involved a certain contract and a unilateral decision from the higher-ups of Limbus Company. W Corp, having caught wind of Limbus Company's recent distortion contract management promotions, decided to contract us to deal with a mysterious, repeated series of incidents suspected to have been caused by a distortion. After multiple failed attempts to resolve it on their own, of course. The distortions themselves likely did not pose a problem for W Corp. Based on the available information, it could be determined that they would have all been neutralized as soon as the train arrived, and any transformed passengers would have been reverted to their human forms. But the real issue was that passengers were disappearing. Passengers? Spirited away? Alas, such is an impossibility aboard these trains, is it not? That is the problem, whose precise cause and effect we must determine. Did W Corp share anything to get us started? That appears to be the most prominent cause of this misunderstanding. She explained that W Corp refused to share anything about the trains because they were concerned about disclosing the secrets of their singularity. That's probably why they sought out an upstart business like Limbus Company to deal with this, now that I think about it. We wouldn't even know where to start if we didn't have access to the information that the identity cards had to offer. Faust produced what appeared to be a key card with the W Corp logo on it before continuing with her explanations. However, we were given this master key card that can open and close the hybridation capsules at any time. We may return to our respective capsules as soon as the contract is fulfilled, and safely complete the rest of the journey as we planned from the beginning.
These bloody wings, every single one of them's been absolutely balmy.
I think it's a bit unkind of them to ask us to finish the puzzle without all the important pieces. At least T-Corp, their chief executive director, tagged along as our assistant, not to mention kindly explaining so many new things to us. It sounded like Miss Faust was stuck between a rock and a hard place herself. Some sinners grew more receptive after her explanations, albeit with a sigh. I would have appreciated it if you at least gave us a hint. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not like there's someone out there monitoring everything you say and do, right? That is. But not everyone was willing to let this go without saying their piece. Next time, I will take your inputs into account. And that's just about all I can do for her. It's an undeniable fact that her actions have disappointed the sinners. I mean, this is nothing new, though, right? Like, I think the only thing that is really different about this particular situation is that everybody's freaked out by the warp trains. Rightfully so, but like everybody's just freaking out about the warp trains, and the idea of spending an eternity, essentially, in the warp trains is terrifying to them. So this feels like a particular betrayal, but it's nothing new, right? Like the company throws the sinners into bullshit all the time. So this is. I mean, I don't understand why everybody's upset with Faust. Personally, I feel like Faust is just a kind of arbiter for the company, as per usual. Like her and Virgilius just follow the rules of their contract. This is Faust we're talking about, though. I'm sure she has backup plans to get us out of this situation. So what's next on our agenda? Yeah, what's done is done, right? Besides, it's not like we gotta rot for thousands of years inside this metal box. That is something I must first discuss with Dante. Discuss? But discussing things with other people is very unlike Faust. What are we discussing, Faust? We must converse at a lower volume, Dante. What? Why are we whispering? Her secretive attitude only exacerbated my already battered sense of safety. My connection to the Gesellschaft, I mean Faust, has been severed. Gesellschaft. I'm sorry, what? I cannot access Faust's knowledge at the moment. Faust has been defausted. Yeah, I didn't expect this, but she seemed very, like, uncharacteristically uncertain. And just like that, the ominous feeling I had turned out to be right. Got banned from the Discord, rip Bozo. I mean, they're in a different dimension, right? That makes sense. Whatever deal she made to get access to basically limitless knowledge maybe doesn't apply in a different dimension. What do you mean you can't? I mean it in the most literal sense. My access to Faust's input and information, which has always been readily available, is completely severed. So I was right, essentially. I mean, I about the origin, I don't know, but this this Gesellschaft or Faust is directly communicating with Faust and telling Faust information, giving them access. Now, yeah, now you get like real Faust. Oh, what if everything about the situation is something you don't have access to yet, like you said last time? One cannot completely dismiss that possibility, but even that is uncertain. Faust's answers have always been perfectly accurate and methodical.
God damn.
The rain is killing me. Faust is a genius. That's and she's not referring to herself. Yeah, I know she speaks about herself in first person and third person, and so, that's something I noted, I think, like in the very beginning whenever she was like giving explanations super early on, and I was confused about that. And then I think it was somewhere around maybe Canto 2, I can't remember exactly when it happened. It's in one of the recordings, but I remember having a conversation with Chad about that where somebody was like, "What's your theory?" And I was like, "Okay, my theory is that Faust, she made a deal with the devil or a deal with some kind of more powerful entity, and that entity just constantly is feeding her information." They're like in a symbiotic relationship or something like that now. It's still hard because she can be referring to 3 different things whenever she says Faust. That's true. I don't think she's ever said a sentence that was this full of speculation and doubt. Then Faust was right. Now you're... Yes, at this moment I am limited to utilizing only the knowledge that is in my possession. I cannot discern the cause of the disconnection. More than enough precautions have likely been taken in case of interdimensional travel, but perhaps Faust did not take into account an occasion in which we may have to access an unidentified dimension such as this, or even if it was taken into account, this particular dimension may not have been subject to cross-observation yet. If that is not the case, then no, never mind. There was nothing that suggested that my connection to Faust would be lost, not even as we boarded the train, to be honest. I find myself in a somewhat perplexed state. Alright, so when she said 50% of this is going to plan and the other 50% isn't, she just means that, like, this was the plan to do the distortion, but she doesn't have Faust's knowledge. So she's like, uncomfy. Alright, I get it now. Now that changes everything. I recalled the last thing I saw before the hatch on the capsule closed when Faust told me not to worry too much. Okay, this is just a minor setback. Nothing we can't beat, right? We got this. I began to mutter like I was trying to convince myself. As the manager, my job is to calm everyone down and set their sights on the future, just as Faust did for me immediately before the hatch closed. If you're right about why you were disconnected, then that problem will solve itself once we're off the train. And if we do ever run out of options, I'll just turn the clock and see what happens. Don't stress yourself too much. We still have a lot to work with. Your knowledge, my clock, the sinners, and I could feel my confidence taking a hit with every word that came out of my metaphorical mouth. But that seemed to be enough for Faust. She nodded. Understood. And to the sinners. The fact that we are currently confined to a warp train in operation must be a source of enough stress. It would be best not to share Faust's current state with them and add any unnecessary source of tension. God damn. Sorry, my throat is just not happening today, Chief.
What, so reckon this door ain't gonna do anything? We're all gonna bite it once it opens?
How many times do I have to tell you that you're not even strong enough to break this door down? 1 billion years in this box. Ha ha. Yeah, that might be best. So what now? Do we take a searching sweep through each car or something?
In the grand scheme of things, yes.
Faust cleared the air with a cough before continuing. By A-Corp standard timescale, approximately 3 days have passed since our departure. As per the contract between Limbus Company and W-Corp, I acquired the master keycard placed inside my capsule and adjusted the hatch settings to open automatically in 3 days. 3 days, huh? I feel like I just blinked and I guess that's hibernation for you. As you were all informed prior to boarding, there is no way for the economy class passengers to enter the first class car. That is why this place has remained untouched. However, cross-referencing my own deductions and W-Corp's rather fragmentary explanations, I can assume that the situation is currently under progress in the economy class cars.
The part where they thrash and shite out of one another, tearing their limbs off and all that mess?
No, I doubt that. I don't think it gets that bad in just 3 days. Besides, that's supposed to be business as usual for W-Corp, right? There must be something else that's out of the ordinary that they want us to deal with.
Precisely. In my opinion, it is.
Oh, hold that thought for but a moment. Just as Faust was about to continue, Don Quixote raised her index finger to her lips and signaled her to be quiet. Dost thou hear aught as I do? Scratching, nay, rapping. Forsooth, past this gate must be, As Don Quixote kept listening with her ear to the door, an odd expression of half curiosity and half horror appeared on her face. It is possible that there must be, Lady Faust. After that very distressful noise, everyone simultaneously turned their heads to look at Faust. who closed her eyes briefly in thought. Please step aside for a moment, Don Quixote. It would be best if I observed it with my own eyes. With that, she produced the master keycard from her pocket and approached the panel installed next to the door.
Well, hang on a minute. You're going to open the door?
I intend to follow your usual flavor of suggestion, Heathcliff, that there are times in which a physical altercation is preferable to detached ruminations.
More suggestion? Oh, well, I ain't gonna disagree with you there, but remember what's gotten into you, lass?
I said remember because I was reading his bat. After all, how could I deduce anything without seeing it myself? Beep. After a brief mechanical beep, hideous creatures suddenly crashed through the open door and charged wildly in our direction. Puppets? Puppets would be far too strong for you? You think so? I don't know. I have a skewed perception of the sinner's strength. Those guys don't fuck around. Yeah, I don't know. I have a, like I said, I think I have a skewed perception of the sinner's strength because I'm comparing this team feels as strong as, maybe not as strong as Jebra in actuality, because obviously she's the Red Mist, but like the individual characters feel as strong as like a grade 2 or a grade 1 fixer. And I don't think those puppets were not as strong as that, were they? Lady Faust, however similar in appearance, they may have been the passengers. They may have been to the passengers? Verily, 'tis as though they were in complete want of sense, like people palletified by the whale. Don Quixote, who hesitated until the last second to raise her weapon against them, hung her head mournfully. Normally, Faust would have told her more information about those monsters before the fight began, and she would not have been burdened by the sheer thought of bringing harm to the innocent. Faust began searching the area, closely observing various bodies and the general area for information. You appear particularly inquisitive today, Miss Faust. Yeah, aren't you usually the one who has all the answers while we're racking our brains trying to come up with something? The sinners were starting to realize that there was something off about Faust's behavior. They might even soon realize that there's something wrong with Faust. Don Quixote, they are not dead. Huh? Observe closer. The parts are all tethered to one another by something, are they not? Oh! It appears that the flow of time has ceased in this space. Therefore, it follows that the connections that tethered bodies to life and away from death remain intact. To my relief, Faust managed to correctly figure out what was going on, like her usual self, even if it took her slightly longer than it usually does. Hey, what'd I say? We've got this. Huh? What was that about? Oh, nothing. But I'd forgotten that not all sinners were content with nodding along to whatever information Faust told us. The flow of time has ceased aboard a warp train, is it? Yi Sang grew pensive, seeing that Faust's lips parted for a moment before closing shut. I was starting to get a good read of her expression. That was an unmistakable look of regret, however short-lived. Howbeit, would it not be more accurate to muse that the flow of time has decelerated to the point where, to an extra-dimensional observer, it is slowed to a stop? What is your perception regarding this What is your perspective regarding this suggestion? Yes, that is the most rational suggestion, Yi Sang. Did Miss Faust just get something wrong? Wow, Yi Sang sure is the expert when it comes to time-related phenomena. Can you summarize it in an easier language now that we are broaching the subject? Gladly, if you would allow me. Yi Sang began to elaborate with gentle enthusiasm. That was close. To speak in brevity, it can be said that death is not an element aboard this train. And can you maybe speak a little less brevity? To elaborate. Verily, this one's heart beats still. Don Quixote lowered her head and listened closely to what appeared to be a dismembered torso, and shouts with relief. Their state is akin to an unassembled jigsaw puzzle, merely immobilized and separated. Though their corpus has been sundered, the concept of death is at a state of, for all intents and purposes, eternal delay aboard this train. Existence in Existence in continuance. God. I'm trying, like, how do I pronounce this in y'all sang voice? Existence in I can't do it. I don't know why. Continuance. Continuance. Existence in continuance of moratorium. Forced they are to be tethered upon the thinnest yet tenacious threads of life. I ill understand what hath been said here, yet they are not dead all the same. Alright, I'll be right back. The cat is like howling her head off. I'm gonna go give her some food. Okay, I'm back. So, fed all the cats. She gets a howling, and I'm just like, I gotta stop whatever I'm doing and feed her. She's getting old, so she does not have the patience. But she can't, like, eat a lot. It's like if you had a gastric bypass, essentially, where you have, like, a very small stomach and you can only eat so much. And she doesn't overeat, so if she leaves... If I give her like a full set, she won't like eat a portion of it, and then leave it there and then come back and eat more later, what'll happen is, like, I'll feed her a normal portion, she'll eat half of it, and then another cat will come downstairs, wiggle their way into her room, eat the rest of her food, and then throw up somewhere later. So, like, she needs to be fed more than the other cats. If their severed parts all connected, then it could be said that no matter how entangled their bodies become, it is not impossible to eventually gather their parts together to form a single passenger. Thus, naturally, we can determine how and why the profession W Corp cleanup agent has come to be. I see, because someone will have to categorize and reconstruct these puzzles once the journey is over. It's really baffling to me that a job like that even exists. Ever seen a wing that wasn't baffling in every sense of the word? Still, I guess that means that as long as the train arrives at the station, the passengers will all be put back together like nothing happened. From what I learned, though, the W Corp identities, their main job was to gather chunks of flesh together to bring them back to their original shapes before they boarded the trains. It's a lot more visceral when I have to look at it in person. That is quite the auspicious news among ill tidings indeed. It soon clicked in me what Faust was, though with some awkward effort, trying to do as I watched Don Quixote sigh with relief. Maybe Faust was trying to cheer Don Quixote up in her own way. Who she was a while ago would not find it even necessary to do something like that. Dante. Huh? What's up? Oh, time to whisper, right. Indeed. I intend to collect further intelligence. Well, if there's anything I can tell you. Faust cast a dark gaze toward the chunks of flesh. Her gaze remained fixed upon them as she whispered. Are they distortions or abnormalities? Oh, yeah, I actually wanted to ask you about that. They weren't humans, that was for sure. From them, I felt the same sensation I felt from monsters. Something inexplicable, an unclear sensation or an aura. I've felt this somewhere before, I'm sure of it, but I couldn't quite pinpoint the source of the sensation. One thing I do know for sure is that this sensation was not the same feeling I got from abnormalities, distortions, or even the Pacatula. If I had to lean one way or the other, I'd say they're closer to distortions? I'm sorry, I don't think they're either of those. Is it difficult to be certain at the moment? Again, I'm not sure how I can explain this, but they're very, very similar to distortions, but also different. If you had to ask, then I'm gonna guess Faust doesn't know. Faust may know, but I, at this moment, have no way of knowing. I feel like I should apologize for that. There's no need, Dante. Though the information you have provided me is rather ambiguous, it has helped me to do something of worth. And collecting intelligence myself and creating deductions based on sparse information is quite... She paused, holding a bloody, slimy chunk of flesh in her hands.
Did she just smile to herself with Golver in her hands?
Finally, the awakening has begun. Neoshu has been really quiet throughout this whole thing, and it makes sense. Like, she has no objections whatsoever to being in this situation. She's so hyped for it. Let's go. After a round of intelligence gathering from Faust, we opened the door to the next cabin, only to be greeted by a loud commotion. Infinite art cheat. It sounds like there are other survivors.
Oh, passengers in danger! Fret not, for I have arrived to...
Whoa, don't come any closer. Who the hell are you guys? A four-armed woman suddenly jumped in our path. She appeared without warning. Faust stumbled a little, inadvertently slapped by the figure's swinging arms as she pushed us away. Right, like you gave me any warning before you practically kicked that door open? Would you mind moving that huge sword out of our faces? It's a bit threatening. Threatening? I'm just trying to protect the civilians in this car. Also, is that a bioprosthetic? Must be an old-timer, huh? I thought those things were out of style forever ago. Oh, you want to see what this old-timer's got left in him?
Oh, thou art from the north. Verily, thy garb is that of northerners, no? This really ain't the time, lass. Anyways, it looks like we're in the same mess here. Make way for us yet?
She seemed to be sizing us up at the moment. Nah, how do I trust you? Got any proof that you ain't bitten? I'm not gonna let all my effort protecting this place go to waste.
Bit him? The bloody hell are you on about?
Weird. You look completely lost. If you were in the economy cars, I'm sure you've seen. Hold on. Are y'all from the first class car? Yeah, we just woke up from our capsules. But none of you look very... I mean, aren't first class seats supposed to be... Well, why didn't you say so from the get-go? Name's Sasha. Multi-crack office rep. Would you mind moving your dumb face out of my sword? With that, she lowered her weapons and allowed us to pass. Have you not left this car for the duration of the ride, Sasha? No, I haven't. We warped over to T-Corp after picking up one of their contracts, but geez, can you believe that this train broke down? Shit, is it even broken? I'm not feeling hungry or sleepy at all. It stinks of some shady bullshit if you ask me. You can feel all that even in a prosthetic body? Man, how could I live without my favorite hobby? Drifting into a sweet nap after a pleasant meal. So I made sure to get high quality parts for him so I can still feel them all. Hasn't something else of note also occurred? You bet your ass? Did something else of note go down? How distracting. Is it hard for you to speak without being so hyper? Or at least stop swinging your arms around like that? Can't do that, friend. I broke all my prosthetic arms in a fight. So I'm calibrating a new set. Gotta keep swinging them if I want them to sync up with the other parts, ASAP. Anywho, I don't know what the hell's going on, but people started turning into some weird monsters all of a sudden. Haven't a goddamn clue as to who they are. Don't seem like they can understand us either. Good thing my train car didn't have a lot of those monsters. I just chopped up what monsters there were to pieces and hauled the civilians to the vacant car. 3,201 red colors, 3,202 red colors. You haven't decided to protect them despite the potential. You have decided to protect them despite the potential risk that they may transform as well. But of course, 'tis an expected duty of any valorous fixer to stand guard in the front lines against evil to protect the weak. I've been keeping a close eye on him for the last 3 days, and so far, 0 transformations. Go past this car, and you'll see what hell on earth really means. Those monsters are constantly trying to crawl their way to the front of the train. So, if you ask me, I'd wager that some shit went down there at one of the train cars in the back, and it spread like wildfire till it reached here. I see. And that's all I can tell you about the situation. So what's your story? Why do you rich first-class folks suddenly decide to grace us peasants with your presence? Nothing that's happening here could have made it to your swanky first-class cars, so what's your business down here? W Corp has hired us to solve this case. We are, fixers! Indeed, fixers. Faust nodded reluctantly as she affirmed Don Quixote's boisterous declaration. Huh, they got every single one of you a first-class ticket? Your office must be rolling in the dough. Wait a goddamn second, so W Corp already knew that this would happen? But, are you really contracted to a wing? Not sure if I trust you. As you must well be aware yourself, contracts and contract fulfillment are of paramount importance to fixers. With that in mind, please recall that W Corp is one of the most secretive wings of the city. Ah, non-disclosure agreement, huh? Makes sense. I wouldn't want to deal with those Ufi boys either. Anyway, I'm still gonna have to ask for proof that you're actually contracted by W Corp. This is the bastard keycard given to us by W Corp. I believe that it can open most doors aboard this train. Faust produced a master keycard from our pocket. I guess there isn't any other way for us to prove that we're actually contracted by W Corp. A keycard? So you use this to open up the path between first class and the economy class car? Let's see, W Corp logo. Whoa, nice materials. Looks like you're telling the truth. Alright, I won't pry, not like there's any cash in it for me either. So I guess you gotta go all the way down there for your job, huh? Yes. The fixer finally got out of her way, then, with one of her free hands, pointed towards the opposite door. Well, it's your funeral, ladies and gents, or your victory lap, if you guys are really that good. Lots of luck to y'all. I thank thee for thy words of courage, Fixer Sasha. I shall trust thee with protection of this fortress. Prithee, protect the innocents in my stead. Big sis, are you a fixer? Are you gonna save us from the monsters in the cars behind us? Ho! Just as we were about to reach the other end of the car, a little passenger pulled on Don Quixote's coattails. Aye, forsooth. Whoa, are you a famous fixer? Forsooth, once again, thou mayest know me as a profoundly illustrious fixer. Whoa, I want to be a fixer too, just like you. Don't pester the lady. I'm sorry, she's my daughter, and Wahaha! Worry thyself not. 'Tis no bother at all. Thou must dream of becoming a fixer thyself, little squire. It is fortunate that someone like yourself is aboard the train, that your presence ensured the child's survival. What you talking about all of a sudden? Come on. No need to keep up with appearances between people in the same line of work. I'm just here to collect some sweet emergency contract fees from each and every one of them. Are you two on something or what? I see. Don't think Don Quixote needs to hear what she just said. Didn't know you fixers could be didn't know you could be like that, Faust. Be like what? You knew there was no way the fixer was actually there to protect them out of pure goodwill, but you decided to go along with Don Quixote's delusions anyway, am I right? Good move. I was getting worried about what might happen if she started acting out again. You saw the twinkle in her eye too, right? Don Quixote has always been energetic, but she's been especially bouncy today. Eyes. Faust strode toward Sasha with a question. I have one last thing to inquire. It'll be 30k on per inquiry. That is quite an unsound decision to make for someone who claims to be in the same line of work as us. Have you considered the possibility that once our contract is successfully completed, we could incur references to a particularly cooperative associate office in our report to W Corp? Whoa, you serious? Well, let me hear it. Were the eyes of the monsters you faced red by any chance? Sasha paused her swinging arms for a moment upon hearing that question, appearing to either be in thought or trying to recall something, then answered. I don't know. Those monsters were red all over, but is there something special about their eye color? Well, for one, my prosthetic eye is red, and the passenger over there got red eyes. And, oh, you there, that lady with the big sword, also got red eyes. What, is someone out there paying cash for info on red eyes or something? No, well, it was a question of no significance. Faust nodded lightly in her direction, then opened the door to the next car. It was just as we feared. The scene that appeared before us looked like it came straight out of a painting of hell. A painting, nonetheless. Time to get some murder going. They seem like they've got red eyes to me. What are they called? Aggressive blood bag passenger. So they are passengers of a sort. Gundam down. I love the warp train chapter or whatever. I really enjoyed the warp train chapter in Library of Ruina, and I'm hyped that we get to do some more warp train stuff. I really think it's just such a cool idea, and the people getting turned into basically like goo, people getting pasted but then all of it is connected. Like you're always connected by like strands of blood or whatever. It's such an interesting and visually provocative image. It is genuinely like terrifying or scary on like a supernatural level. It's just such an interesting idea. I love it. That's why Ryoshu loves it so much. I mean, I do love horror, and I love like, especially these days. Now that I've I don't know, maybe it's I've gotten older or whatever. I have only seen like bits and pieces of Ash versus the Evil Dead, but I kind of want to go and like watch that whole series because the gore, almost to the degree of like camp in like 90s and early 2000s horror movies, I think is just, it's an aesthetic, and I think it's so fun, like buckets and buckets of cornstarch blood. I think it's just, I don't know, I find it entertaining. I want to do horror movie night again. It's been a really long time since I've done that. We should do that. Necro agreed, Putty. We should do horror movie night again. It'll be fun.
그래. 이 정도면 지켜볼 가치가 있겠지.
Paddling in a narrow hallway really takes a lot out of you. It can't be helped. Fighting in narrow hallways like these is pretty exhausting for people who use long weapons like we do. I don't think I've seen Obsession or Backrooms. There's a bunch of stuff I never saw from like the 90s. I mean, I was born in '87, so there's a ton of stuff I didn't see from the 90s because I was too young, and I was raised in like a super conservative Christian household. But now that I'm older, and horror is like my favorite genre, there's just a ton of stuff I want to go back and watch. I've never seen the Child's Play movies. I was terrified of Chucky because like it was on TV one day and my mom turned it on, and I just from the audio it terrified me. And my friend had one of those Me and My Buddy dolls, and it just freaked me out because I believed in demons. Like as a Baptist, if you're a child of religion, if you're a Baptist, like you believe in demons, you believe in supernatural, you believe the devil actually exists and does things in the world to mess with Christians. And Demon in a Doll just punted into the sun. Yeah, but like as a child Christian, you're genuinely taught that those things are real and that they have power if you give them power. But as a kid, you're like, I don't know how to, like, you know, you can pray or whatever, but like I'm freaked out. It scares the shit out of me, right? Like, I don't know, that whole thing scared me when I was a kid. But now that I'm older, and I've been on this earth, I've been on this spinning ball for 38 years, and I've never seen anything that led me to believe that the supernatural actually exists. So horror movies are just, it's like fan fiction or like stories or like, you know, it's just for fun. It's make believe, and I love it. It's one of my favorite genres now. Although I do like that one Twilight Zone episode where the doll pranks the fuck out of the guy. That's another series I need to rewatch. I've seen all of the Twilights of the original Twilight Zone, but I haven't seen them in a really long time. These enemies weren't much harder than the ones we'd fought earlier, but it was inevitable that their sheer number would eventually wear the sinners down. Whew. What are these things, Faust? Yeah, I've been wondering that too. Why are you so light-lipped all of a sudden? Tight-lipped all of a sudden. Those entities are. Those entities are? What do you think those entities are? Huh? Didn't I just ask you the same question? Oh no, are you giving us a chance to come up with our own answers first? Of course, Faust did not confirm nor deny his question, but Sinclair was perfectly capable of making up his own interpretation of her silence. There was some things I learned after fighting them, I think. These monsters aren't mad at us, nor do they want to attack us because we're an obstacle. That's not why they're attacking us. Quite. 'Tis apparent that they hunger for aught, charging at anyone and anything in a desperate quest for it. Right, that's strange, though. I thought hunger or thirst wasn't a thing aboard these trains. It could be determined from the entity's behavior that their attack patterns have no basis in rational thought. The source of this behavior can only be traced back to primal aggressiveness. Yes, and? Was there anything else? Anything else? Oh yeah, I think they all had red eyes. Their body is wreathed in blankets of red. I smell blood, so that's likely what they're made of. Then it must be that the red was congealed, nay crystallized blood. Thank you all. Your insights has all been very helpful. That's a translation error. Your insights have all been very helpful. It was my turn to start whispering. I don't know what obsolete man is, Necro. What did you learn from that? We're in luck, Dante. I have read upon this subject as a tangent while pursuing information regarding our next destination. Moments before we boarded the train, and while that will be a useful element in resolving this situation, the sinners have also been a very good source of intelligence. When it came to categorizing and identifying important evidence from the available sea of information, your advice was correct, Dante. You mean you know what to do? To blow this case wide open? Nothing much can be said with absolute certainty at the moment. However, this will be a good place for us to start. With that, Faust turned around and faced the rest of the sinners. I will now present before you a solution to this predicament. What? Is there something else we gotta do before other than beating the crap out of whatever is in our way? That will not change, no. However, what I'm about to share will give you a better understanding of the purpose behind W Corp's contract and provide us with the possible means of finding the method by which we may complete it. It is very likely that the entity behind the incidents on this train, and by extension every incident of the same nature that has occurred in previous warp train trips, is a blood fiend. Ooh, a new creature has appeared. Wait, a blood fiend? What's a blood fiend? A blood fiend? What in the name of wings is that? Huh. You, of all people, haven't heard of blood fiends? Thought you were a team expert on obscure lore. Verily, I have neither read nor heard mention of these blood fiends. Perchance I have let a magazine article slip from my memory. Don Quixote furrowed her brows, genuinely lost. It was as though the very word sounded alien to her. I thought they were just monsters in stories to scare children at night. They're supposed to be afraid of garlic and sunlight, right? Oh, that sounds a bit different from what I've heard. I heard their fear of garlic and sunlight is just a rumor, and what they're really afraid of is water. I have been briefed on the existence of blood fiends in the past, when I served as a commanding officer, and I have seen the dregs that they command. Though my memory isn't very clear, I'm quite certain that these monsters here do not resemble what I've seen. There was a blood fiend among the ranks of the fingers too, but the things that blood fiend commanded weren't rubber glove looking like these. There's something off about this one. That one didn't spawn these dregs with abandon like this. But don't you know this already? Yes, I see that some sinners have encountered blood fiends in the past. A long-winded explanation seems unnecessary, as many of you stated thus far. The entities we faced in the train do not appear to be blood fiends. In a sense, they are dreg-like beings that have failed to become kindreds. They are referred to as blood bags among relevant parties, according to information I'm aware of. Huh, not a terrible name. Why would anyone name someone Bloodbag? As it has been said prior, it is impossible for passengers to disappear aboard warp trains under normal circumstances, though our reserve of intelligence regarding warp trains, or W Corp, is vast, if incomplete. We could not find any exception to this above rule. Within that reserve of intelligence, however, I have discovered that inserting a previously unseen variable into the equation allows for the formulation of a new hypothesis. Wait, you're saying that these blood fiends can completely erase people or passengers from existence? A more accurate descriptor would be to say that they are either dissolved or vaporized. Dissolved? No matter the degree of violence the passengers may indulge in, no matter how severe their wounds may be, warp trains can revert them to their initial state at the beginning of their journey. While the word violence is rather a large umbrella term, it likely involves activities such as cannibalization. Ugh. However, as the passengers' collective time itself is in moratorium for the duration of the train's operation, digestion is not a biological process that should be active. In other words, even cannibalized passengers can be reconstructed. If they're merely stuffed into the digestive tract, then I suppose they could gut the passengers to retrieve the chewed up chunks and piece them back together via the vein-like things connecting each individual. However, such is not true for blood bags. Blood bags are by their nature obsessed with blood. Their existence hinges on supplying themselves with the blood of their victims, and it is said that they must consume a minuscule amount of blood to maintain their forms. Wait, what? Didn't you just say that digestion's not a thing here? If I were to continue my deductions, perhaps consumption of blood for blood fiends and blood bags is a process fundamentally different from our consumption of nutrients for energy. To them, blood is a culmination, an entailment of something that forms the self, including but not limited to emotions, ambitions, wealth, purpose of existence. Then it must follow that they can spend their blood at will, which is a process isolated from other biological processes such as digestion.
What? I ain't following either half of that.
You exist in moratoria of the time at present moment, Heathcliff, yet your emotions still persist, do they not? Anger, sorrow, and joy, they continue to spark within you.
Well, I suppose they are.
Though we cannot tell whether they are in a state of alteration or whether they remain ensnared in the wheel of creation and destruction, it can be said that emotions, once past, exist not in continuation. The passengers will to live the worth of this very existence in which they thrive. Does it not all gently atrophy into non-existence even amidst the ceased time? Miss Faust seeks to illustrate the similarity between how emotions are to ourselves and how blood is to blood fiends. Gotcha. So that's why she said their blood is vaporized, huh? If that's the case, then the very blood that's supposed to bind these chunks of flesh together will also evaporate, which means that they can't be pieced back together. There is no incongruence in that logic. Everyone fell silent for a moment. That was way too much information to process at once. We didn't even know what to make of them either. I would like to ask a few questions if you would permit me. Yi Sang was the first to break the silence. Could it be said that blood bags are direct creations of blood fiends? If such is the case, then by which method do they... That information is inaccessible at the moment, Faust replied, avoiding Yi Sang's gaze. There isn't anything I can do about this. The sinners will only get more stressed if they find out what's going on with Faust, and that's something we both want to avoid. Inaccessible? Aye, indeed. Now I recall that you have said that in the past. This is only a speculation. However, I assume that a form of direct physical contact is needed to turn an individual into a blood bag. If such were not the case, then we, who are likely the greatest obstacles to the entity's goal at the moment, would have been the first ones to have turned. Indeed.
In that case, that villain of a blood fiend must be hiding out somewhere aboard this train.
Indeed, if we are to believe the words of a fixer from earlier, then there is a high likelihood that the horde is advancing in the direction from the back of the train. In other words, continuing down the train, cars will lead us straight to the blood fiend.
Very well. I shan't forsake this opportunity to bring peace to the souls of the innocent passengers who have perished at the villain's hands.
Dante? It seems that Don Quixote was now invigorated, while the other sinners also appeared rather satisfied. Now that we had a clearer sight of our goal, Faust, who stood amidst them, nodded in my direction. Well then, let's go. We're making the best of what's available to us at the moment. Let's move forward, for now. How delightful.
이곳은 아무도 오지 않는 정막의 공간. 머물러있는 직원들은 저기 정신을 놓아버리고 마음대로 받아들이지. 쳐다보긴 이렇게 누군가와 제대로 이야기를 나눠.
Yeah, the other fixer at the front of the train mentioned something along the lines of, did they bite you? Which confuses me a little bit. Because if these guys were not able to successfully turn into blood fiends, if they're blood bags, wouldn't that mean that they're incapable of converting other people into blood bags? Or do blood bags turn other people into blood bags also? Is it like vampirism? Some questions. Not exactly sure how it works. What a waste. That guy's got 3 health.
선물을 받았구나. 자신의 색이 너무 옅어지지 않도록 조심하렴. 취약한 마음과 자아일수록 누군가가 만든 자아의 격돌 속에 의존하고 숨고 싶은 마음이지만 그럼에도 재밌는 구경이었다.
Mama Otis is so cool.
바로 그거다 딸래.
It's hard to like, what is it like? I feel like the other characters, a lot of the other IDs, what I'm looking at is essentially like very low tier characters in Ruina, or very low tier groups in Ruina, and like even the thumb, like we never got to see the middle in Ruina, so when we see the middle here, they're like ridiculously strong. And then you have like the Rhodia skin that the Rhodia ID that I currently have, which is basically a Kurokuma clan character. And we know like the Kurokuma clan characters, even the upper echelon, the top of the Kurokuma clan are like bozos. In compared to the team that I'm using right now are bozos, basically. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of Tanya is a middle member, but yeah, that's about it. That's what I'm saying. Like Tanya, the Kurokuma clan were all like chumpsicles compared to Tanya, right? Like they all got wrecked by Tanya. And yeah, is Tanya a color? She's not a color, is she? If you go back to her intro, she's dressed like one. That's pretty badass. But basically what I'm getting at is like, I don't think Tanya's a color, but she's a high grade middle member, isn't she? The point I'm getting at is like, compared to the middle team, she's a big sister. Holy shit, yeah, then that means I have 2 characters who are Tanya level strong, and everybody else that I have, all the other IDs that I seem to have are like bozos, right? She'd be ranked above Ricardo. I mean, Ricardo's a big brother, and I think, what is it, Mama Otis is a, what is it? It says her title is like the nurse father, and I know she's like part of the House of Spiders, which is like, she's like separate from the middle, but she's still like a part of the middle. I don't know exactly how that works. Whenever I read her story, I was confused. But it's like, was she like excommunicated or something from the middle, but not like completely, because you're never allowed to leave the middle, right? But she's like been segregated from the rest of the community, essentially. Anyway, she's like, she betrayed them for the sword. Yeah, so she's like segregated from the community, but still technically in the middle because you're never allowed to leave the middle. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is that the power scaling doesn't make fucking sense to me, because Mr. Flash of Sunup, like that squad, those guys got completely rolled over really early on in Ruina. And if we're looking at power scaling, like Tanya, it's pretty fucking high up there in the difficulty level. She's super fucking strong. So if we've got two characters who are pretty close to Tanya level strong, and then I'm unlocking like the new characters that came up, or the Dawn Office, and it's like Dawn Office are like chump tier compared to what I'm getting at is the power scaling doesn't really make sense to me, right? Because like I know that they're good in this game, they're really good, but how, whenever you have the Dawn Office like get completely wiped out by the library, right? It's probably counts as a power creep complaint, but I really don't like how the Dawn Office IDs we got aren't really Dawn Office. Yuna was not dropping nuclear bombs in her reception. That's what I'm getting at. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, IDs don't scale accurately, and I guess that's it, right? Just like I have to shoot myself in the head with the disbelief bullet, like my suspension of disbelief bullet or whatever. Like it just like it's video game logic. Faust makes a better Yuna, I guess. Could be. It could just be. I don't know. The whole thing to me just comes down to like, I want the power scaling to make sense, and it just doesn't. The ID power scaling makes zero sense. If Salvador moved in Ruina like Salvador Gregor was moving, he'd be folding Baral in half, and I hate it. Gets these skinwalkers out. And I hate it. Get these skinwalkers out of here. That's, yeah. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway. Rant over. Manager Esquire, halt! Behold, this poor fellow, he still lives! Don Quixote, her round eyes wide open, began sprinting somewhere. No, stay away from me, you monsters! Hey man, we're not those monsters, you alright? Huh? That arm, you're starting to mutate too, aren't you? You must be turning into some bug-like monster. Ugh! No, this is... Gregor stumbled for words, scoffed, and then cast his gaze towards the floor in disbelief. Yeah, well, no surprise there, I guess. I suppose there's no way to tell right away whether this arm's a monster, a prosthetic, or whatnot. It is possible that you are mistaken due to his bioprosthetic being of an older, outdated make that is now rarely seen in the city. Ah, prosthetic. That's a relief. I thought those crazy bastards were trying to break in again. As you can see, my legs are messed up. I had no choice but to hide in here. So what are the W Corp employees doing aboard this train? Huh? You're right. From what we found out about the warp trains through the identities, I can't imagine why any of them would ever willingly board this train. You're the contract fixers, right? We were ordered to assist you with your contract. I said we, but I'm the only one left. Every single one of my colleagues suddenly began losing their minds in that car over there, and... This cannot be! Faust! Is there truly no way to cure the blood bags? My apologies. The access to this information is prohibited at the moment as well. Though her voice and expression were both as serene as always, there was something gloomy about the way she said it. I may have been too reliant on Faust in too many places. Faust muttered in a barely audible volume. I don't know what I can do to help the sinners in a situation like this either. I'd also grown too used to Faust's omniscience because I could always trust it to be there for me. I was starting to realize that I don't have the means to dig myself out of a hole like this. No, maybe I was too reliant on the sinners as a whole. If, when the time comes for them to depend on me, when they can no longer stand on their own, can I really manage them, lead them to the right choices? Doubt, colored with fear, begins to rise like an ominous plume of smoke. Well, what can I do, right? Ugh. The agent struggled to some corner of the room with his wounded leg and pulled on a lever. They made good use of this space. And the wall behind what had initially appeared to be a folding chair for employees spun open. Oh, what in the name of wings is this? Perchance, hast thou hidden here a weapon most powerful, a weapon most afeared by the blood fiends? That holds some resemblance to a capsule we saw in the first class car, but why would that thing be here? The cleanup agent stumbled into the pod that appeared on the wall. Finally. What is that thou seekest to do? W Corp prepared a small hibernation pod for employees in case of these emergencies. Verily then, huh? Good luck with the rest of the mission. With that, he settled into the capsule and shut the hatch behind him. When the door covering the pod closed, only the folding chair and a wall covered with viscera remained. He's gone. There he goes. He has departed the scene. We blankly stared at the wall the agent disappeared into. Well then, I guess we gotta. Let's move on to the next car. Keep on keeping on. Alternate universe shenanigans. Yeah, I don't have a problem necessarily speaking with alternate universe shenanigans, even whenever the power scaling gets a little bit out of control. But it seems to me, and this might be, I might be able to explain this away. I might be able to rationalize this. When I think about, like, for example, like one of the multiverse theories, most prolific examples would probably be in Rick and Morty, where there's infinite universes, but within those infinite universes, there are a limited number of situations in which people are so radically different that they have, you know, like, ascended to a different degree. And perhaps in using the mirrors the way that we do to find and identify different IDs, to find different identities within the mirror, when we're searching specifically, because we mentioned this before during the Worthing Heights canto, that the user of the mirror, the person who's searching for something within the mirror, can, to a certain extent, find the identity that they're looking for, based on what they want, and like in the heart of hearts at the time, whenever they look in the mirror, they're able to find things along a certain line. And maybe it's that when you're looking for a more powerful version of yourself, or you're looking for a identity which is one of the most powerful of yourself within a certain, you know, within a certain category, maybe that's why we find these versions of the sinners that are so ridiculously powerful. And that's the best explanation that I could give for it, I suppose, if I was going to try to rationalize or justify it. It's weird because if they wanted to use a popular character and upscale them, Yujin is right there. Maybe they're saving Yujin. Could be. But by the rationale that I just gave, you could say that within the infinite multiverse, that there are hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of Otises that are all in the middle within this same general category. And maybe within that same category, there are hundreds of Otises who were excommunicated for betrayal or for doing something similar to what she did, and only one of those Otises inside that infinite multiverse ascended to the degree that you know, House of Spiders nurse father Otis did. It could, I think, kind of make sense in that sense. Maybe Yuna and Salvador are alive and getting stronger right now. I mean, maybe Yuna and Salvador, like, did they, like, the Gregor that we got and the Faust that we got as the Yuna and Salvador, maybe those versions of Faust and Gregor are not. So I know who they're based off of those characters. That's obvious, right? But in the infinite multiverse, we have a situation in which Gregor found himself in very similar or almost exact circumstances as Salvador, right? And that led him into this particular situation. And maybe, just like I mentioned with Otis, maybe there are hundreds of thousands of Salvador adjacent Gregors, but only one of them ascended to the highest, you know, the highest of highest upper echelon of that. Whereas, yes, if we ran into that Gregor in the library, which the library, to my knowledge, didn't have access to the multiverse, right? But if we ran into that Gregor, maybe that Gregor would be, like, almost on the level of a color. in that case. I'm spitballing. I'm trying to make it make sense to me because the power scaling doesn't make sense as it stands if we think about things in like a power level sense. Like, what's the scouter tell you about his power level? If we think about it in that way, then the system as it stands doesn't make any sense. We have to kind of like take our brains and throw them out of the box and try to think out over there. That would be hilarious if we met Yuna and Salvador again and they had absolutely Mog, Faust, and Craig. Now that I say it, I think Ricardo, Heath were more hyped. Why don't Limbus Company just pull Arbiter outfits? Or Arbiter Otis and win instantly? Is Arbiter Otis a thing? And that could be something, like, I think, what was it? Walpurgis, for example, it should be a thing. Anyway, what I was gonna say to that though is that Walpurgis and the story of Walpurgis that we watched before explained that only during certain times is Mephistopheles able to access IDs in different reaches of different dimensions. So maybe it's that inside the infinite multiverse, Mephistopheles is only able to see a very small a very small bubble. I'm thinking of like my brain immediately goes to Elite Dangerous and the civilization bubble, where you look at that bubble and it's massive. The bubble where like commerce and civilization happens in Elite Dangerous is fucking massive. But then you zoom out and you see the rest of the galaxy, and it doesn't even take up a quadrant. It's like 5% of the galaxy is the bubble, and then you have the rest of the galaxy. Maybe that's the situation that we're looking at, and within that infinite multiverse situation, you do have characters who are even more insanely power scaled. We don't know. A lot of situations that we've run into at this point have had people wishing on stars in the outskirts and literally ascending to like god status or like demigod status. The ceiling here is non-existent. You know, you really do have like this infinite number of possibilities that the developers can really play with, which I think is fun. I think I like it. I made it up because Arbiter Otis would be hot as fuck. It's true. I think any Otis would be hot as fuck. But the logic behind Dawn Office was what I said earlier. Philip Sinclair is the only ID I can think of that needed buffs on release. He was so dog shit. I feel like if they made Philip Sinclair dog shit, they maybe did it on purpose to make fun of Philip. Like he actually didn't function the way he was supposed to. Especially because Walpurgis accesses LOR or Library of Ruin or Lobotomy Corp. Well, I think they still need to flesh this out. At least maybe they've already fleshed it out in the story, and I haven't encountered that fleshed out bit of the story. But I guess what I'm getting at is that the system is not explained as it stands. The system is not explained. And I would like it to be explained a little bit. I'd like to know more. It's one of the Starship Troopers moments where, you know, would you like to know more? I would absolutely like to know more. I think I prefer the LobCorp IDs because LobCorp gameplay is not nearly as cool as Ruina, so it's cool to see them in Limbus. That is true. I love seeing LobCorp characters in Limbus. However, I will say that Limbus Company, Lobotomy Corporation and Library of Ruina are also incredibly different in the named characters that we have available to us. Library of Ruina has a massive roster of characters who are named that we can look at and that we can kind of like just take like the rats at the bottom, for example. You end up getting a couple of characters who are genuinely named and recognizable, whereas like there are tons and tons of different characters inside Lobotomy Corporation that are player made, like we made them, right? So to Mary Sinclair, spooky. Philip being bad on purpose would be funny, but I think the community would have rioted like crazy if they left him like that. Maybe I think they might have done it on purpose. I don't know. I hate Philip. I unapologetically hate Philip. Everything about him was obnoxious as hell. And it like doing that, I loved doing that whole sequence on stream was incredibly fun for me, because him like running away, pissing his pants, and he just kept doing it. And I think we were at a point, and I failed to remember a lot of the times, but basically every time I encountered Philip, we mogged the shit out of him. He just got completely wrecked. So I don't know. It's as an antagonist, he really fell short on the mark. Constantly. Problem is the way he was bad would have been a strange design choice, even if it was for a meme. I see. Yeah, so what you're saying is that when on release, Philip Sinclair was bad, but not bad in like a fun way, where he was like bad on purpose, but in a way in which it just wouldn't have made sense for them to have done it on purpose. That makes sense. I mean, for the lulz, I wish they had done it on purpose.
그럼에도 너는 아직 일상을 내려다볼 자격이 없단다.
His whole gimmick is the way he works is the Wedge Office version where he transforms into the ego state. Oh, really? Okay. So he transforms into like the shield and spear, one-winged baby, piss in his pants baby. But on release, his sanity mechanic couldn't maintain it, so you didn't get to do the whole thing he was known for. That's really funny. I don't know. I feel like that makes sense, and that's obviously a bug or like a flaw in the character design, and I'm sure that they had to tweak it so that it's possible to make that happen. I don't know. Like, I feel like this kind of issue with Otis is like, she rarely ever pulls out Levitine. Even in boss fights, there are a lot of boss fights. I'm actively trying to pull Levitine out, and the boss dies before I can even get the fucking sword out. They buffed him immediately and then buffed him again the day after. She kills shit too fast. I think at this point, it's that the middle team kills shit so fast that she just can't whip the sword out. Something caught my attention from the corner of my eye after another round of brutal combat. What is this now? We were on the final car adjacent to the freight car when we discovered that odd box, the T-Corp logo, with a T-Corp logo on it. Oh, 'tis the emblem of T-Corp. It appears that the wall covering it was broken with the fierceness of our battle. Didn't that chief executive guy, Herbert, right? Didn't he offhandedly mention something about partnering with other wings? I guess they were in cahoots with W-Corp too. Such collaborations are not limited to T-Corp. It is oft the case that a wing may work with another. It is only on rare occasions that they urgently request the assistance of less significant, lesser-known corporations such as our own Limbus Company. Their choice appears to be quite irregular. Sounds like W-Corp's heydays are long behind them, just like this wall that's falling apart, revealing what's behind. Oh, speaking of falling apart, this room sure got messed up, huh? It was difficult for me to ignore how Rhodia's hurriedly swerved to a different subject as though she made a mistake. Even the tone of her voice shifted like she was catching herself. Railway 2 Bakgak goes for 50 billion turns, so I got Levitine every fight. That's what's up. I'd love to engage with the railway mechanic. A lot of the stuff being locked behind getting to Kanto 9 really irritates me, especially, I mean, I've mentioned this, I won't harp on about it, but especially like the Refraction Railway popping out, or the mirror dungeons being locked in on only this one mirror dungeon. Nobody wants to engage with Railway 2, it sucks. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like, as we're unlocking it, the fact that I can't do it is super dumb. The fact that it's locked behind the Kanto 9, and I'm getting mini stories where they're like, oh my goodness, this door just opened up, what's behind it? Oh, here we go again, gang. I hate that. I really genuinely I hate it, and it's like, yo, you can't do this, go fuck yourself. The various destroyed prosthetic parts covered in human remains indicate that this train car was boarded by several prosthetic-equipped fixers. I can't think about that right now. First, let's deal with the task at hand. Maybe these people are from the same office as that guy we met at the platform. Remember? He said he'd warped over to T-Corp on an expedition. Look, it's almost like they're all wearing standardized sets of prosthetics. Same make, same model, everything. I believe I have read articles stating that certain offices do exclusively hire fixers with prosthetics. Wait, We were walking through the bloodied train car when suddenly heard Sinclair's voice cracking as though he saw something awful. Fie! He is the one we encountered at the platform!
우리에게 시비를 걸던 적.
This is the fixer who suddenly started venting at us. Yeah, and he said something about going to T-Corp on an expedition and failing. They brought a whole train car full of fixers for this contract. Guess he wasn't exaggerating when he called it an expedition. There are over a dozen broken arms strewn about. They must have fought valiantly by replacing the broken arms with backup arms, perchance? Makes sense. That would explain all those broken prosthetic arms and legs in a car. Executive Manager, this is likely the aftermath of a battle between fixers and bloodbags. There were many similar cases during the war. Those using prosthetics would simply let their bodies be destroyed in battle because they considered them to be disposable as long as their wallets would permit. Of course, the blatant lack of self-preservation often sent them to early graves. Maybe so. I see. There are multiple possible interpretations depending on one's perspective, despite the fact that there is but a single scene. I remember both of your inputs. That's a good attitude. Employees with attitude like yours would often make it to the end of war. Yes, well, good for them. I have no idea why railways aren't available permanently and just locked until you do the content that unlocks your level for what the railways were balanced around. Even if it gave no rewards, some of them have unique bosses that would be worth playing for just once. I mean, like, they should have kept the stories in, which they did, and then unlocked the railway and had the railway switch over to something like the story, where you play through a canto and you have the railway set. Yeah, it might be battle, but you could add some lunacy rewards. Whatever, you're giving it away for delaying maintenance or whatever, like give people some more lunacy as a reward, and boom, you have it grandfathered in. I don't know, like, it doesn't make sense the way that they did it, and it irritates me. I wish that they had done it a different way. It's very like phone game that's been running for a long time. Coded. I don't like it. Faust answered Otis in an uncharacteristically snappy manner. Signs of fatigue were creeping into her pensive expression. You all right, Faust? It was rare to see any actual expression from her. I was starting to get worried. I am physically unharmed, but yes, I am all right. However, I do not enjoy the circumstance which we find ourselves in. It is as though I am casting nets to nowhere. Lost and isolated in a blind sea. Normally, deductions such as these would have been completed within moments after establishing a few basic cross-references with information I accessed. Her voice was such a whisper for the second part of her sentence that even I could barely hear what she was saying. Ah, I know what you mean. Feeling like you're completely lost, obsessively casting net after net over the black, rippleless lake in desperate hopes that one of them might pull in something we could eat. No way to tell where we are, no way to tell if there's even anything to eat under the glassy water surface, grasping at straws, you know. This sense I find myself mired in is not unlike your own. It is like lying my back over an unseen grave, for the reflection of radiance upon my eyes and the sanguine scent hanging from the tip of my olfactory sensors tells me naught of the foraging path. I love y'all sang. I love that we decided to make his voice y'all sang. It's so fun because the way that he fucking speaks. It's perfect. It seemed that Ishmael and Yi Sang picked up on the first part of her sentence. However, as they walked up to her and shared a few words of consolation. By the way, I don't ever recall you talking like that, Faust. I don't know what it is, but I feel like there's something different about you today. That is. Oh, I mean, I don't hate it. I'm actually glad to learn that you have a softer side. This unseen side of yours is unfamiliar, yet quite fresh. Is that so? Faust's reply was curt. She closed her eyes. As per the information provided by the pamphlet at the platform, it is likely that this train is composed of 12 passenger cars and 1 freight car. Because we are on the 11th car at the moment, that leaves a single car between us and the freight car in which Mephistopheles is secured. Which means that there is a high likelihood that we will soon encounter the blood fiend responsible for the creation of the blood bags aboard this train. Just beyond that door.
Well, how impressive could the leader of this sort of cannon fodder be?
A different, more accurate interpretation would be to say that a being capable of commanding a force as large as the blood bags we have defeated should be considered a high-risk entity. Although this is not common knowledge, there is a subcategory of fixers called blood fiend hunters who specialize in, yes, hunting blood fiends. Assuming that information is true, it can be inferred that the blood fiends are difficult foes that require certain expertise to defeat. Now that I'm thinking about it, if blood bags are like mindless thralls to blood fiends, then they're kind of like an army, right? A being of power who can create a force of their own without concern for lowered morale or desertion. Wartime or not, they will always make for formidable foes. The sinners each exchange various opinions with one another, possible strategies, estimations of the blood fiend's strength, and all of a sudden,
Fie on this indecisive idleness! Our quest is to defeat the villain who hath brought such pain and misery upon this train, is it not? It may be vaporizing the lifeblood of the innocent as we speak. Mighty or feeble, I care not. I swear upon mine honor that I shall smite this foe, and let my hand of justice be judged of their fate. Let us hasten now.
Don Quixote's sudden outburst immediately put a stop to the chatter. She's not wrong. Besides, dealing with the blood fiend is the key to completing our contract. With that, I opened the door leading to the last car of the train. I'm about to level up. Clear within 15 turns. That means we got a long fight ahead of us. And this one is costing a module instead of costing Enkavlen. You need to make him a meme? I don't know what you mean. I don't know how to make something a meme. All I know is that y'all sang the decision to turn, like, I need to do one of them in a southern accent, and then Yi Sang popped up and I just started speaking Yi Sang's dialogue in South. I don't know. I'm considering, I'm really bad at making shorts, but I'm considering taking dialogue from the y'all sang bits and turning them into shorts and posting them on my YouTube channel. I have basically nothing but the streams up there right now, but I don't know, I do think that he's really funny and it's really fun to read his dialogue. This room, what is the look on thy faces? Thou standest in the audience of the prince. Where are thy smiles? He must be the blood fiend who caused this outbreak. He's our target. Fall to thy knees and grovel before royalty. Who the hell are you to make those demands? I shall impart this upon thee only once, so listen well. Thou mayest address me as Prince Cassetti, 6 kindred in refuge from his family, and the rightful prince who shall reign over thee. Art thou the villain who hath brought such destruction and massacre upon this vessel? Thou art a chatty one, so rudely before your prince. Yet this welcome satiation has put me in quite the generous mood. As thou must have seen on thy journey here, this place is a hall of banquet for a feast most majestic. No matter how many blood bags I create, no matter how many of them I devour, humans just won't stop coming. I am only enjoying what cast themselves into my maw. He dons a mask for the purpose of merrymaking. If we're really going to exchange pleasantries, why don't you take that mask off? Or are you unfamiliar with the basic etiquette? Oh, this mask won't come off. Can't take it off. Shouldn't take it off. There's no prince without the mask. We're so ugly behind the mask. So we all decided to hide how repulsive we've become. But only once I've drunk your blood full, then it'll all go back to how it used to be. Only then can I unmask myself. Who stitched that mask on your face? Not a half bad job. Of course, it's excellent, because this mask was crafted by none other than the great and eminent barber, whose name I dare not even speak, but it hurts so much. No, I'm smiling. Look how hard I'm smiling and laughing. Yes, I am the prince. That's what I am. He's a bloody loon, innit? All right. Done with the giggles then. Get ready for the beating of your life. Okay, alright. Heathcliff, since he stopped being a fucking massive dickbag, has been growing on me. Heathcliff has, since Worthing Heights, thought before he speaks. And I'm liking him more. Okay? You guys, you win. You win. You got it from me. You win. You got me, okay? But you have to give me credit. It took him 6 cantos to get bearable. 6 cantos. He truly becomes tolerable. Thank you, Putty. I think you and I see pretty close to eye on the Heathcliff situation. Once he upgrades his bat to level 2 with Remember Bat, he went sicko mode. I enjoy things like you and your friends. Don't cry, bawling and bowing and sniveling on the ground for your lives. Lunge at me instead, The aggression, the boiling blood. Oh, how I love the heat. What are you, daft? Look around, there are 13 of us and only one of you. Don't let your guard down, Heathcliff. This entity has managed to turn countless passengers of this train into his blood bags. I ain't even letting my guard down, but we blasted through so many blood bags, we couldn't even keep count, didn't we? Couldn't even keep count. Oh no, but the count is so important. I have to keep count of our visitors. Yes, of course, I remember. To keep count of our dearest visitors. Yes, sir, I do. You have no idea how powerful I am, and I shall not relinquish the throne of this budding kingdom to thee. All I have to do is sit here and do nothing, and the blood bags present themselves before me. There's no paradise like this out there. You have no idea what I did to create this place. Oh, how elated my forebears would be were they to witness my creation, this cornucopia of abundance, this pleasure, oh, this freedom. But this kingdom is mine. I made it. I'm not giving it away. Nope. This is rather curious. It appears that this blood feed leaves this car only on rare occasions, yet we have seen signs of his insidious influence throughout every car we've visited so far. Then what he meant by how the blood bags present themselves before him has to be... Hold on a minute! Someone suddenly and frantically charged into this car. It was Sasha, the fixer we ran into in one of the earlier cars. Cassetti shrinks into his throne at the sudden intrusion, terror apparent in his face. Ah, it is thee! By the... Hast thou truly journeyed here to assist in our quest? Lo, that villain is the blood fiend responsible for our tragedies that have transpired aboard this train. Help us slay the cur, and eventually lead the passengers thou hast protected thus far out of this train. Blood fiends. What if there was more than a single blood fiend aboard? One still capable of rational thought. Damn, you actually made it all the way back here. I guess the Wings don't give out contracts to just anyone. I used to fight my damnedest too, till I was the last one standing. What's she talking about? But where did that leave me? Alone. 3 of my 4 arms ripped from my body. Kind of funny how the perspective on life can just completely flip when you're really in the shit. I think my last thoughts were, man, I don't want to die. So I fell on my knees and pleaded. I told him that, Don Quixote, watch your back. I'd do anything to live. Blood rapidly crystallized around Sasha like a suit of armor as she swung her greatsword at the sinners, striking them, even before Faust's hurried shout had fully died away. Oh. What did I say? I commanded you to give me a warning before you're jumping in like that. Don't you know how loud your stupid arms are? I thought the family had come for me. I'm sorry, Lord Cassetti. Allow me to introduce my kindred to thee, first of mine since the escape, for the kingdom I intend to build. My kindred, my loyal squire, who shall be at my side as I build a dynasty of my own, my family. Lord Cassetti, I had intended to select more powerful of the bench to send to this car as you have commanded me, but the humans in my car were all weaklings, so I present before you this group from the first-class car. Kindred. Are you even aware of the exact nature of a kindred? Nah, but I tell you this. When I accepted my lord's blood into my veins, I felt as though I was reborn. I see. A Bloodfeed's kindred is like a sub-entity of the Bloodfeed, similar in concept to sub-entities created by distortions or abnormalities. It must have been desperation that pushed you to accept this proposition despite the lack of information. Maybe. That's probably what was going through my head before I became a kindred. Thou hast been in cahoots with this villain all this time as his lackey? Even ere then, when we first laid our eyes upon thee. Lady, you have no idea how much I freaked out when one of you asked me something about red eyes. Not that it would have mattered if you suspected me, since mine are just prosthetic. But then, the passengers who were under thy protection... Haven't I told you? The count matters. The longer the procession, the better. Dozens of bloodbangs began shambling into the room from behind Sasha. A smaller one among them stood out to me. My mind immediately snapped to the child who grabbed Don Quixote's coattails. I knew that the passengers were dead the moment we realized Sasha was a blood fiend, but I hoped that we spared the sight. There was a child. Yep, little runt wanted to be a fixer if she got to grow up. Good thing she won't, though. I can tell you on good authority that living as a blood bag is way better than this drudgery that the life of a fixer. Believe me, I know. Hold thy vile tongue. Dreaming of becoming a famous, respected fixer and an actor of justice. It's all just a stupid pipe dream that always ends in crushing disappointment or a really, really early grave. Silence! Silence! Don Quixote did not give Sasha time to finish her sentence. She was already charging full speed at her with her lance drawn. Yeah. The Heathcliff incident. Yeah, I'm feeling Don Quixote over here right now. It tracks. That's super fucked up. So the blood fiend thing is just kind of like vampirism. Basically, if you don't have the juice, essentially, to become a thrall, like a proper thrall, or a vampire, you become a blood bag. And if you do have the juice, you become a thrall, essentially, right? So that tracks. And it sounds like this Cassini baby bitch boy ran away from his family, which means he, of course, was a thrall himself. It's the, Asterion deal, where Asterion ran away from daddy because, he got the chance. Yeah. That's the vibe, right? Oh, there she is. Time to see what Sasha can do. They stitched a mask to his face to make him pretty. It's fucked up. Well, he said somebody named the Barber did it. Maybe it's they had him as like a pet or whatever, and they didn't like the way that he looked, so God, she got staggered in one turn. But she's fucking cooked. She had 45 HP. Yeah, she's cooked. Ugh. Unbelievable. I make myself my first ever kindred, without authorization at that. And it's this bumbling fool. I pray for your forgiveness, Father. Begone from my sight. At least thou hast brought me blood bags for sustenance. Yet it must be the responsibility of a parent to clean up the mess of his child. What a load of shit. With that, Cassetti reached out towards the pile of blood bags on the ground and sucked them off. Oh, abundance. What an unfamiliar sensation you'd become. An armor of hardened blood materialized over the blood fiend's body. His sheer aggression and hatred was palpable enough to make our skin crawl. It appears that he has empowered himself by reaping their blood. Though my power is yet to fully return, this magnificent armor is quite befitting of this risen king's parade. Wouldst you agree? Yes, sir. Yes, you do. Of course you do. Challenge me now, O rebels. Challenge thy king. I mean, we're gonna absolutely destroy you, asshole. What do you? I don't know why you're excited. Oh, and we get to do a continuation, so we're unpacking. No, we've got the second seal unpacked. We might actually get to unpack Levitine this time. Yeah, Stamp of Vengeance. We're at one point, and then we can unpack Levitine. Cassetti's already. We've done two of our 6 turns, and Cassetti's already lost 30% of his health. Make that 40%. Jesus Christ. Middle team's so strong, and the fact that they wind up, the longer the fight goes, the stronger they get. It gets absolutely insane. I love these guys. Over half of his health. He's took like 60% of his health in one turn. I am the prince of the... So this is unclashable. Does not get staggered this turn, and I wonder. I have an idea. But everybody's gonna use defense. I wonder if on an AoE attack, do we clap back when we take damage? Does everybody clap back? No, that doesn't happen. It's not what it does. It was worth trying to find out though. Oh, Levitine's out. Complete and total extermination. God damn. 545 damage. Yeet. You said read his status effects? Alright, I'll do it. I'll read. If you're gonna... Is it necessary? Like, am I going to fail this if I don't read? Cause... he's lost... he's lost so much of his health. It's like not even funny. Fucking this guy up. Okay, alright, I'll read. He's staggered. Get wrecked, Bozo. What is statuses? Passives, stored blood. You thought he has a story effect? I mean, I don't see any unique passives on me. He's loaded with stuff I've seen before. I don't see anything unique. Canto 9 writes entire books in the passives to try to get people to read. Reading's cringe, though. This Bozo's so fucking cooked. Oh yeah, one more attack by Levitine and he's dead as a doornail. My god. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. Yes. I love it when humans let their blood boil. But this is too painful. This guy keeps regenerating no matter how many times we tear him to pieces. I don't know if we can... The mental fatigue finally got to Gregor and Sinclair and they collapsed to the ground. The strange environment of warp trains was proving to be a significant boost to the Blood Fiend's regenerative ability. The battle trudged on without an end in sight. At this point, we've already been fighting for much longer than we had at the K-Corp border checkpoint or the basement of Worthing Heights. The sinners had all grown much stronger since then, but even they were reaching a breaking point. Hang on a second. We've been fighting for longer than the basement of Worthing Heights? We barely activated Levitine in this fight. And in the basement of Worthing Heights, we literally fought through hell with Virgilius. Yeah, right? Dante, what the fuck are you talking about? I know that this particular fight had to get the bonus rewards, you have to go through 15 turns. I genuinely think that was 5 turns. I don't think we were supposed to do it that fast. Don Quixote continues to wildly pummel the Blood Fiend with her lance, breaking, stabbing, crushing him every time a body part regenerated. I am so very hungry. Ridiculous. Thy hunger is no justification for this massacre thou hast wrought. Shut up, you don't understand. You don't know how awful it is. I survived for 200 years on that disgusting, horrible... No. I don't even want to think about it. Shut up. Be quiet. No, I'm sorry. I'll be good. Please let me have just a sip. Just the smallest sip, please. Won't matter how many times you stab me. I shan't stop until all of thy flesh and bone and organs are crushed into a viscous, shapeless mush, never to become whole again. But the Blood Fiend's regeneration is so powerful that he's recovering as fast as Don Quixote is destroying him. He's regenerating at an insane rate. We can't... My kindred, my child, I have given thee new life, invited thee into this banquet. So, do something. Your responsibility. The blessings of your father must be repaid, no? What can I do? Find their weakness, break their anchor, make them kneel and grovel before me in desperation, just as you had. Wait, I think I've got an idea. Sasha began looking around wildly, surprised by Cassetti's sudden command. Is that the way they fight? Reminds me of the way we prosthetic using fixers fight. Yeah, she noticed, they kind of, the sinners throw themselves away and then the clock just fixes them. Just as prosthetic fixers slowly lose their sense of self-preservation, their limbs becoming no more than tools to be replaced. These idiots act with such abandon as they have multiple lives to burn through. With nothing to protect, they throw themselves wildly into battle like moths to a flame and forget to look after what's really important, like this little thing. With one of her remaining arms, Sasha picked up from the ground the master keycard Faust showed her in one of the previous cars. Don Quixote, stop her now! Oh, my father, I offer this gift to you. Gah! Don Quixote immediately leaped at the fixer, but one of her arms struck her away with great force. Ishmael and Merceau, who had been holding Cassetti down, were no match for his strength without Don Quixote's fury. The Blood Fiend threw them both to the side and grabbed the keycard. This is the keycard to the first-class cars, my lord. With this, grow your army of blood bags for the kingdom's prosperity. No. Cassetti examines the master keycard with clear interest. Without that keycard, we'll be trapped inside this train for thousands of years until it reaches its destination. Dante, I believe that I have tried my utmost to overcome this adversary without access to Faust's knowledge and intelligence. However, with our loss of the master keycard, the uncertainty of this circumstance has been greatly exacerbated. At the origin of this plight, Faust took a deep breath as if she was about to take a deep dive into the source of all this trouble. Must be my over-reliance on Faust. From what I can tell, Faust has always been operating based on information she received from Faust. So a situation like this, where she has to make her decisions on her own, must be unfamiliar to her. But Faust is an exceptional sinner, with or without Faust. I've been thinking the same thing about myself, actually, that I might have been relying too much on that perfect Faust. But even without Faust, you still guided us masterfully after analyzing the information we brought you. Maybe uncertainty itself doesn't always have to be a problem for us. Remember? Thus the lack of plan itself becomes the plan. You said it yourself. I see. Indeed, among many, I am a Faust that believes in uncertainty. Our loss of the Master Keycard is but one of innumerable uncertain variables in the equation. The constant is, however, that the Blood Fiend is just as desperate as we are. Thus, the only option that remains at present is to compromise.
You there. Looks like thou art the one who's been regenerating your friends. Stop. Stop doing that, alright? Don't heal a single one of them, or I'll smash your precious key to pieces. Manager Esquire! Compromise? To compromise with a villain as vile as that cur?
I didn't have the time to regenerate Don Quixote's severe injuries just yet, and the rest of the sinners were already unconscious. The only sinner who could still move and talk was Faust, whom I just rewound the clock for. Yeah, let's do that.
Very well, then, Cassidy. Why don't we move this conversation to a different location? I alone will accompany Dante to this negotiation. Let me make my intentions clear now. Dante and I will not attack you there.
There is no doubt in my mind that Cassetti must also be exhausted by the unending barrage of attacks from Don Quixote and the sinners. So Faust's suggestion that we move this conversation to a different place without the sinners must have sounded pretty sweet to him. Just you two, huh? Yes, as you're aware, the freight car is immediately adjacent to this one. That is where we will further discuss what we have to offer to one another. Oh, baby. Let's get him to Mephistopheles and shove him into Mephistopheles' gaping maw.
That clock must be thy monarch, then. And thou art one of the retainers.
Correct.
Very well. This will be a royal debate, then. It is only right that a member of royalty talks to no one else but the one who is his equal. Manager Esquire.
We'll be back in a minute, Don Quixote. Thus we left the incapacitated sinners and Don Quixote, who watched on with hollow, despondent eyes as we walked away. We carefully made our way to the freight car. I don't even think Verge would pop his ego for this guy like he did in the mansion. That's true. I think Virgilius would just delete this guy. No ego necessary. So Faust, why are we doing this in the freight car again?
Dante, this will be my first attempt at a gamble.
What? Oh shit! Is Virgilius a blood fiend? Is he a vampire? Because I'm getting that vibe now from his ego. Let's go gambling. With that, the door closed shut behind us. No, but he was friends with one. Okay, that makes sense then. He's his power, his vibe, generally speaking, was very blood fiend. Now that I've seen this Cassetti. Of course, Virgilius Cassetti doesn't come anywhere close to measuring up to Virgilius, but Cassetti has the blood armor, which when Virgilius manifested his ego, he had the blood cape. So this passageway leads straight into Mephistopheles.
This is where it all started. This stupid bus awoke me from my slumber. If only this bus hadn't completely filled up the freight car, I wasn't planning on commencing the parade so soon, or creating a kindred at all.
Dante? The connection has been restored.
Connection? The suddenness of her statement briefly knocked me off my train of thought. I looked at her and cocked my head in confusion, and she replied with an even quieter whisper without looking away from the blood fiend.
Boarding Mephistopheles has reestablished my connection to Faust.
I love the cha-ching sound. The Discord let her back in. Pog! Did you know that this would work?
No, and as I have stated before, this was pure and incalculable gamble based on my own uncertain hypothesis. The success helps me somewhat comprehend Miss Rhodia's fascination with gambling.
A faint smile momentarily appeared on Faust's lips as she jests, then fades away.
Now that connection has been reestablished, I would like to make a complaint against the Fausts in the Gesellschaft management regarding the fact that they neglected to list the information pertaining to the loss of connection within the interiors of the warp trains. However, finding a solution to the situation takes precedence. I have much reason to believe that their omission was done on purpose, but I hope such is not the case. Faust gently advanced towards the Blood Fiend. Let us discuss the details of our compromise that you are willing to accept in return for the Master Keycard. If thou wert just anyone, I would have wished to return thee all into blood bags and drink every last drop of thy blood, but thou art unlike a common person. My wish is to maintain the secrecy of this kingdom of mine for as long as possible, and thine wish is to leave this place, is it not? Once I relinquish to thee this key card, and once thou returnest to your first-class seats, we'll live here happily ever after like nothing happened. And when the train gets there, you get off the train. Everything goes back to the way they're supposed to be. How's that for a deal? Like nothing happened? Faust, what about the job we're contracted to do in the first place? Upon arrival, our memories and any signs of battle will be entirely erased. We'll have no way to relay the news, whether it be one of success or failure. If we had the means to defeat him, then at least W Corp would inform us that our contract has been successful after the fact. However, this current scenario will leave us with nothing to show for, nothing even the smallest hint, and the contract will end in failure. However, what takes precedence over the contract is you and the sitter's psychological stability. It's not like we've always been successful, so that was something I could live with, but what about the other passengers of the train, and its future passengers? I remember the look on Don Quixote's face when we would come across these ineffable forms of inevitable forms of injustice. I thought he said justice, that's why I was so confused. Faust does not reply. Yet the lack of reply was a reply all on its own. Are we going to have to let them die? Innocent lives will be lost, but we cannot prioritize their lives over our safety. That must be Faust's and the company's policy. And yet... I shan't allow this! Don Quixote! I thought her wounds were too severe for her to even crawl, let alone walk, but with sheer will, she pushed herself through the pain to reach the freight car. I love this girl. I will not tolerate this. We cannot let this vile wretch live and turn a blind eye to everything he's done. It's her, again! What? You want to stay here for what is essentially an eternity within this train? I know what this is all about. Everything hinges on this key, doesn't it? As soon as I snap this in half, you'll have to spend eons inside this. I care not! I would welcome it, even should it mean exacting eons of penance upon thee. 'Tis much preferable to letting thy villainy go unanswered. Let this place be the site of thine eternal judgment. Faust and I grabbed Don Quixote. She'd normally be strong enough to wriggle free of our grips, but she'd already pushed herself beyond her limits, merely by walking here. Faust, unhand me! Thou mustn't let him live, Manager Esquire. Don Quixote, letting him destroy that key means that you'll be condemning the sinners to thousands of years of torment. Then I shall fill the millennia with the tales most exciting, and that I had once read in the magazines. No amount of time, however ineffable, shall be too great to overcome, should we endeavor as one. Certainly, you are aware that your suggestion is no solution at all, Don Quixote? Then there has to be another way. No, thou art both possessors of great wisdom. Faust, Manager Esquire, is there truly no path in which we may bring justice to the villain, and the sinners remain unharmed? Her struggle begins to wane, but this was no acceptance. This was dejection. Water! Wait, Don Quixote, no! In the commotion, we failed to notice that the Blood Fiend had been quietly advancing at us. We let Don Quixote go at the last second, a second too late. Oh, Father, forgive my transgressions, for I am about to create another without thy sanction. Thou shalt become my next kindred. Cassetti screams incoherently as he leaps onto Don Quixote, piercing her neck with his fangs, before we even had the chance to do anything. Oh, I did not expect this to be his solution. Faust, what do you mean, the solution? According to this information I had viewed in the past, and once again just now, it's... Dante, take cover behind me and remain absolutely still, and please note that the other sinners must never hear a word of what is about to happen. Oh.
Don Quixote levitates slightly into the air, the strings on her shoes unraveling as they slip off her feet on their own. She looks on with bewilderment as her running shoes fall to the floor. And... Rocinante! I've always had this question swirling at the unfocused backstage of my mind. Why are you always so protective of those running shoes, Don Quixote? Running shoes? Ah, dost thou speak of our dear Rocinante? Yeah, those. I have battled through thick and thin, feast and famine with dear Rocinante, in sorrow and in joy, no matter the brutality of trials that hath struck me. It hath been a royal steed by my side for however long it hath been in existence. She doesn't know when she got them? Ah, Manager Esquire, wherefore hast thou not saluted Rocinante as well? This may be a rather auspicious occasion to do so. Nope, I think I'm good. Ah, be not so bashful, go on ahead. Looks Stinky. Small girl is torturing Tick-Tock with Stinky. Stinky, they are not scuffed as they might appear. Rocinante is in pristine condition. Also, thou shalt not address me as small girl. Evacuate, evacuate. Don Quixote, don't tell me you go to sleep wearing those Rocinante. Oh, I have always been quite certain that someone so esteemed as thee, Manager Esquire, would care to ask me how Rocinante fareth. I didn't mention that this question was inspired by numerous eyewitness reports from other sinners who saw her wandering the halls in her pajamas and wearing Rocinante. Verily, Rocinante and I remain bound together, even in slumber. There shall be no separating the two of us. We are bound, not by need, nor want. We are simply bound together through plight and delight. Now that I think about it, every single identity of Don Quixote also wears that pair of running shoes, Rocinante. Have you ever taken them off? Take them off? Fie! Whatever dost thou mean? As in detach Rocinante from my body? 'Tis a very odd insinuation thou makest. She looks at me with puzzled eyes, as though taking those pair of running shoes off was somehow an inconceivable idea. They were something much more than just her favorite pair of running shoes. Her attitude about it was totally detached from common sense, too, but she didn't notice anything strange about herself. What does Rocinante mean to Don Quixote? What even is that thing? An overwhelmingly powerful pressure suddenly explodes, radiating in all directions, as the metallic stench of blood suffocates the bus, filling every corner of it with its sickening horror. Then, darkness. No, that's impossible. In all-absorbing darkness, a voice is our only light. You are the second kindred. How did you... I should have felt your presence. I do think I saw a faint shimmering. It was red, and she wore a long fur adornment of sorts. And through the shimmering I think I saw red eyes. You have committed the sin of filial impiety, transgressor. I know that voice, but I also don't. I've never heard it in such a low, imposing tone. It speaks towards the lesser being, the blood fiend shriveled and kneeling, trembling, pathetic. Mercy, O venerated ancestor, I beg for mercy of the second kindred. I beg for the mercy of the second kindred. I beg. Insolent worm! Crimson droplets of blood slowly rise around the blood fiend's mouth before congealing into sealing its mouth shut. No language worming its way out of your maw shall be worth my ears. No. To commit the sin of filial impiety by attempting to travel against the bloodstream, to commit such abomination against your ancestor, I cannot well sanction your impudence of continued existence. Coagulate, then melt away. Cassetti's body begins liquefying into a slick stream of blood, his form curdling and crumbling, then dripping to the ground. He melts, rapidly yet ponderously, like that ice cream Don Quixote loved so much, puddling on the floor, heated under the searing sun. Don Quixote turned to look at me, who was still on the ground after being thrown by the shockwave, and with a cryptic look of pity, she uttered something. Indeed, you must be the promised timepiece. Something I couldn't quite understand. Rocinante. To me. Rocinante. I beseech you. I carefully reached out, grabbed her shoes, and slipped them onto her bare feet, one by one. One day. She gasped, stumbled, and slumped to the ground. Holy shit. That's a big reveal. That's cool as fuck. Oh my god, that's awesome. I already liked Don Quixote, but like, holy shit. I love that so much. That's so fucking cool. So she's like an ancient vampire, like an ancient vampire, like one directly descendant from the original vampire. That's super fucking cool. I don't know. I'm a simp for vampires. I fucking love it. 10 out of 10 twist, 100%. God damn it, that's so fucking cool. Oh my god. Like, listen, I think like if you were to take like a genre of media that I would simp the hardest for, it's got to be like vampires. It's zombies and vampires are like side by side. Fuck yes, I love that. I love that so much. I'm so here for it. Oh yeah, baby. That's so fucking cool. And she just commands the blood that makes Cassetti exist into soup, and it makes it so. That's so fucking cool. Can somebody explain what just happened in a way that makes sense? I knew that the sinners would all be shocked and confused. After all, when they, including Faust and Don Quixote, all came back to life after I rewound the clock, all that remained was the destroyed door to the freight car and the disgusting, obliterated remains of what was once Cassetti. Most had lost their consciousness from the mental stress of the prolonged battle against the Blood Fiend. Therefore, whatever measure it was that the manager has taken, it was appropriate. I guess so. Well, good work, everyone. However, the definition of most excludes 3 individuals, thus, it would be most appropriate to direct any questions to them. Wait. Who are those 3? Faust, the manager, and Don Quixote, who is still unconscious. Really? Them? Better than the literary Don Quixote, who basically has dementia and schizophrenia. That's true, Greed. Absolutely. I don't really know the main story of the original Don Quixote, but this Don Quixote fucking slaps. I love that twist. It's such a good twist. Wow, you were spot on. When did you even have the time to notice that? Oh boy. I have identified the 3 conscious individuals by analyzing their walking, cadence, and voices moments before my loss of consciousness.
Right, so what's going on with the lass? Why is she still out cold?
She appears to be in a state of deep slumber. As she is not in any risk of death, she will be waking up soon.
I remember everything, of course. Don Quixote's sudden transformation, how she practically erased the Blood Fiend and his kindred from the world without even moving a finger. But I also remember Faust's last words.
And please, do note that the other sinners must never hear a word of what is about to happen.
Don Quixote was unconscious, and Faust was answering every question with silence. It was only natural that everyone would turn to me for some answers. That's, you know. Wait, that reminds me. Where's the keycard? Last I remember, it was in Cassetti's hands, who's in a far more presentable state than he was in before. Am I right, guys? Yoshu, that's perfect. Whoever wrote that line of dialogue needs a raise. Wait, so what about the keycard was he holding, though? What about the keycard he was holding, though? It has been half liquefied. The remains have melted with his finger bones. It appears to have become one with the middle phalanges. Huh. Wait. Oh. Oh no. Everyone calm down. Calm down. I said calm down. I really should have packed more cigarettes, huh?
How about we force one of these doors open?
The master keycard is not an absolutely necessary element to resolving this situation.
What? How?
It will require approximately 5 hours to formulate an explanation that will allow the sitters to fully comprehend the exact how of this methodology. Therefore, it will be delivered to you in a digestible, summarized format.
Well, that was sort of short-lived. She acted all smug again.
We can utilize the back door of Mephistopheles. The steely confidence in her declaration was more than enough to win us over. So we headed to the corridor past the back door. Don Quixote slung over one of our shoulders and arrived at our destination. I can't not ask what happened after seeing the state you all are in. Sandy pitter, sandy patter. Grains of sand and seashell, leg things, fell from every step the sinners took. Ask someone after me. To explicate, it can, grains of sand rolled about in my throat with every word spoken. Some time ago, Faust explained the gist of this plan as we made our way to the back door. So I'm just going to say, like, if they don't just step into one of the doors that leads to the back, like the outskirts, wait 10 seconds, and then go back into that door and back into Mephistopheles, I'm going to be confused as hell. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you just do that? Because if you wait outside for only a simple 10 seconds and then go back into Mephistopheles, then Mephistopheles will have already arrived at the destination because you only need to wait for 10 seconds to pass in the real world, right? That's how time would work in that case. Faust explained the gist of this plan as we made our way to the back door. To put it simply, we will spend the time at a space disconnected from the train. The train should be arriving at its destination in approximately 10 seconds, going by the A-Corp timescale. All we must do is to remain somewhere in our original dimension for that duration. I think the claws will be waiting there for you to pay your time taxes if you game a system like that. And with that, Faust came to a sudden stop in the middle of one of the corridors. Wait, are you seriously gonna just open that door with this many doors in here? Are you sure that's the right one? Yes, this is the correct door. Its safety is guaranteed.
Oh, lass, at least tell us what's past this door.
I did not bother verifying that particular information myself. It's necessary for future endeavors that I gain the experience of encountering something completely unexpected.
Oi, wait.
Faust did not wait for Heathcliff to finish his sentence before jerking the door wide open. Now please enter through this door. With Faust's stern command, we quickly walked into a building that looked like a derelict, abandoned hospital of sorts. I think we walked into the middle of a sandstorm. Huh? Aren't we indoors? How the heck is this even happening? I can't open my eyes. I got sand in my... Wait, no way. Is this a sandstorm? Aren't we inside a building? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The sinners blurted out a series of colorful complaints, trying to cover themselves in the blasting sandstorm, but Faust continued to count in that same indifferent rhythm before dragging us out of there just as urgently as she had ushered us in. So, we managed to return safe and sound to the interiors of the warp train as it arrived at P-Corp platforms. As the train was still getting cleaned up, that is, and with our bodies completely covered in sand. I thought we'd never make it. Whoa. Are you guys okay? How did these passengers... We were so happy to be done with this whole ordeal that even the W-Corp cleanup agencies in the middle of a cleanup mission looked downright hospitable. We are employees of Limbus Company who boarded the warp train at the behest of your employer. Oh, so you guys are the people that our captain told us about. They really let you guys keep your memories, huh? Oh, that reminds me. One of the employees must be sleeping inside that hibernation pod over there. Oh, that. Huh. I've never seen it in action before. Thanks, let me go check. We walked over to the hidden compartment behind the chamber that the cleanup agent crawled to. Inside it was... There isn't anyone in here. Maybe we were looking at the wrong pod. This is the correct spot. Then the disappearance of the individual who has entered this pod would indicate. I guess these folks aren't all there in the head either, huh? Maybe you guys are just mistaken. I doubt that. Yes, we must have suffered from a momentary collective hallucination caused by fatigue. Very well, then. We will see ourselves out. Faust cut the conversation short before the other sinners began asking too many questions. Now that I became intimately familiar with the meaning of that gesture, I followed her outside without another word. Have we arrived?
Rise and shine, lass. Had a nice nap, did you? Nice. Had a nice kip, did you?
This is a 180. 180 Heath. This is not Heathcliff. This is not the Heathcliff that we've grown to hate. Different human being. I approve. I approve. It's not that he has grown on me. It's that he has changed and is now bearable.
I see. I will hear the details of the incident on the bus once we're traveling again. Understood. Any and all relevant reports will be sent to W Corp via LCCA, and Virgilius was already there when we arrived, discussing the events aboard the train with Faust. He looked oddly apprehensive. I will now leave with Charon to go watch as they unfasten Mephistopheles from the train. The minute hand on the manager's head seems to be desperately signaling me that they have a lot of burning questions to ask you. Allow me to give you some space. I was finally able to ask Faust once Virgilius left, why did you do that? Faust's body was quite literally blasted to pieces from the sheer explosive pressure that filled the room the moment Don Quixote's shoes came off. It was as though she knew that it was going to happen, because it was the preferable course of action to letting the same explosive demise occur to your body instead. I do find it regrettable that you were made to turn the clock, despite my knowledge of the high likelihood of my death upon that occurrence. No, I'm not blaming you for that. I just want to know how long you've known that Don Quixote is... That is something I have been aware of since the LCB was first established. The same could be said of Virgilius, of course. However, it was by the will of the LCA superiors that this knowledge remained withheld from the manager until the appropriate moment. And that appropriate moment was back there? According to my private judgment, yes. Well, as my connection to all communications, including one to Faust, had been severed, I was not in a position to receive the headquarters authorization for that action. Right. Though the full truth may remain obscured still, we are once again returned. Returned. That was a layered word. We've returned to one of the warp platforms in our own dimension. We've returned to our daily lives of speculating about what's next in our path, and the usual Faust returned to Faust. The usual Faust reconnected to Faust has returned. Yes. Faust quietly affirms Yi Sang's rather nebulous question. Please do not take this query with any greater import than a mere jest. However, do you suppose I shall see her again? She shot a puzzled look at Yi Sang. In a way, it was quite the pleasant encounter, was it not? Yi Sang mused ambiguously before leaving us. The incident at the warp train was such a chaotic mess that it felt shorter than it really was, but it was also an opportunity to learn so much. I think Yi Sang was referring to actually getting to meet the real Faust again, because I think Yi Sang is into Faust. Not Faust, but into Faust. That would be a ship. I'm sure that's already a thing. It was too soon to start racking our brains about what kind of nonsense trial we were about to face in P-Corp, so I decided to enjoy this momentary peace. I do not like Faust. I like the real Faust as well. How do we find ourselves at P-Corp? Wherefore is my throat so parched? I'm too tired to explain. Chiquita, you missed out big time on one crazy adventure. Huh? That vibrated the last few grains of sand out of my ears. The sinners looked at Don Quixote's bewildered awakening, grinning. There's no way to know what we'll be facing here at District 16, where P-Corp was located, but we got this, right? The same faith I saw in the Faust who believes in uncertainty rises with me too. I looked up to Faust only to see that Faust was looking at me as well. She nodded at me with her usual barely noticeable smile, and I gave her a light nod back in return. It's true. Faust versus Faust. It's time to go find ourselves another golden bow. Nailed it. I liked that intervallo. I liked that intervallo a lot. You know, the intervallos are basically sometimes hit or miss, but god damn it, that was a good intervallo. I liked that. I liked the ending of it was especially good. Warp Train lore, we fucking love Warp Train lore here. It's my bread and butter, it's my jam.
It's 12. Like it's exactly noon. So it was probably one of the most legit, legit. I know you mean legit. It is probably one of the most legit intervalos. That was a really good intervalo. I would take that as like a chunk of a canto, because I feel like it was as good as the story in any given canto. Definitely 10 out of 10 favorite intervalo so far, easily. And goddamn, Don Quixote, I was irritated with in the very, very beginning. She grew on me really, really quick, and now Don Quixote is one of my favorite characters. I love that. She's so fucking cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I hate the intervalos. I'm saying most of them are filler episodes. That one was legit as fuck. I liked that a lot. But it's perfect. The timing is perfect. I'm gonna go watch anime with my partner because it's anime day, and I'll see you guys soon. The schedule this next week is gonna be a little bit goofy, and that's because I'm gonna be in Osaka for Thursday and Friday. This like frequently visiting Osaka as often as I have, I go there every month. That's going to die down, and my stream schedule is going to kind of normalize relatively soon, I think. But I still have 2 more months worth of sessions planned with my current client, so I need to keep going back to Osaka. But it'll normalize eventually. Just like, unfortunately, because we have D&D. Well, I love D&D. I'm not like mad that there's D&D this week, but because I have D&D this week, and because I'm leaving on Thursday morning, that essentially means I won't be able to stream until next time. But I'm going to bank this lunacy. I know that like you know. Oh wait, did we get? Oh, we have a new thing. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna spend this lunacy because we've got a new thing. LCE Ego Dimension Shredder Yi Sang. Sure, let's extract. We'll do our extraction. We'll do 2 extractions. Spend the lunacy that we got from this intervalo, and yeah, then we'll call it a day. Yo, kiddo, come here. Check this shit out. Papa brought some home. An exciting little homework project to work on together. Is that a mic? No freaking way. Am I making my Pop Idol debut? What? No, it's nothing like that. This is awesome. Cause my middle team, right? I got the middle announcer. Awesome. I'm hyped about that. Glad I extracted. What do we get? Ah, your generosity is most anticipated. Hell yeah, this is the one. Nice, I got it. Dimension Shredder, Yi Sang. Ah, your generosity is most appreciated. My taste buds shall find much delight in this morsel. Should I convey unto you that I have shamelessly reconsidered my attendance for this team dinner, I had so abashedly refused. Might you tolerate my presence thither? My luck is crazy. You know, I think the devs are watching my stream and tweaking the numbers on my shit. It's possible. It is possible. We are definitely changing our announcer. That's gotta happen. Sorry, Bina. Like, it's not that I don't like Bina, right? But we're gonna take this one for sure. This is our new announcer, and this is our first 3-star Yi Sang. Foggy. Yeah. So we did the thing. I think that's shit. Yeah. I think that wait. Ah, fuck no, Merceau. Merceau's the only one. We bought a Merceau ID that we want, and we want this ID. But like, this is the first. Like, we only have one more ID to get all 000s. So that's really cool. I know I can use multiple at a time, but this is my middle team. I'm on theme now. Like, the whole team is on theme. Anyway, guys, thank you so much, Streamer Luck. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. I'll see some of you nerds on the Discord as I like will hang out and probably play games and be around as per usual, sharing memes and art and stuff. But yeah, I won't be back on stream until next Monday. So I'll see you guys in 6 days approximately. Well, no, wait, Monday I'm traveling. So exactly 1 week. So I'll see you guys in 7 days. And yeah. Love you guys. Be nice to yourself and sweet dreams and stuff. Bye.
한동안 안 하던 숙제를 다시 혼자 하려니 영